Chapter 149, The Sky Bell Rings. Move out. At the same time, in the largest mansion in Chu City, a man wearing dark yellow armor, with eyes like cold lightning, holding a silver halberd, looked majestic and had a terrifying aura. At this moment, he seemed to sense something. He looked up, and his eyes seemed to be able to see through the void, emitting golden light. The sky bell rings. The realm of destruction begins. It seems that it is time for me to set off. The young man muttered to himself. Boom! The next moment, a stream of light burst out from the city prince's mansion, crossed the sky, and flew towards the Chu family. The young man had an astonishing aura, and when the people on the street sensed it, they couldn't help but look up at him. Hiss! After seeing that face, everyone's pupils shrank slightly, and their faces were filled with shock. He's Overlord. He's out, someone said tremblingly, his body shaking slightly. It was actually him. After hearing this, the others looked at the figure in the void with extremely complicated expressions. Who in the world does not know the name of Overlord? In his early 20s, at the age of 16, he ranked first on the heavenly ranking and remained at the top for the next 10 years, with no one able to shake his position. In their eyes, Overlord is a legend who has never been defeated in his life. Today, the Overlord appeared before the world for the first time after 2 years of seclusion. In the palace of the city king, in the courtyard, there were two figures, one old and one young, sitting there. In the center was a chessboard, and the sound of chess pieces dropping was very crisp. The old man had an immortal look, deep eyes, and an aura as deep as the ocean. He held a black chess piece in his hand. At this moment, if there's a powerful person here, he will definitely recognize that this person is the famous saint of the Li family, Li Songhai. Opposite him sat a young man in brocade clothes, holding a white chess piece in his hand, looking very calm and composed. What's strange is that there's a vertical slit on his forehead, like a third eye, emanating a faint divine power. Li Songhai looked at the chessboard in front of him at this moment. The black chess piece in his hand had not fallen down yet, hanging in the air, and his eyes showed a hint of tension. Suddenly, a stream of light burst out from the city prince's palace. When the two saw each other, their minds were distracted and no one knew what they were thinking. The seven gods have set off, Li Songhai said in a deep voice with complicated meaning, as if reminding someone of something, and then slowly put down the black chess piece in his hand. Really? Then it's time for me to go, slay. The young man in brocade clothes spoke slowly and put down the white chess piece in his hand. On the chessboard, the winner of the two was already decided. Li Songhai looked at the chessboard and saw that all the black pieces had been eaten, leaving no chance of a comeback. Thinking of this, he wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and breathed a sigh of relief. It's finally over. Playing chess with this monster, the pressure in my heart is too great. Li Muxiu stood up, bowed to Li Songhai, and said, Second Master, thank you for playing chess with me today. I'll go ahead and look for my brother. Go ahead. Li Songhai smiled and nodded, his eyes full of satisfaction and a hint of pride. That's right. The man in brocade clothes is none other than the second young master of the Li family, Li Muxiu, currently ranked third on the heavenly ranking. Li Muxiu took one last look at Li Songhai, then his figure flashed, turned into a stream of light, and disappeared here. When Li Songhai saw this, his eyes were dim and no one knew what he was thinking. Astronomy Pavilion. Knock knock. There was a knock on the door. In the boudoir, a purple-haired girl heard the news, stepped forward and opened the door. When she saw the person coming, there was some joy in her beautiful eyes. Master, it's you. Outside the door, a beautiful woman in a gauze dress was waiting quietly. It was Nangong, who had previously attended a meeting at the Chu family, and she was also Ximeng's master. After seeing Ximeng, Nangong's brows softened a little and she asked softly, It's me, kid. How have you been in Chu City recently? Master, please come in first. I'll tell you. Ximeng looked a little excited and pulled Nangong in. Nangong gave a gentle smile and did not refuse. The two of them were as harmonious as mother and daughter. Soon, Ximeng told Nangong everything that had happened recently. The bright moon rises over the sea, and we share this moment across the world. You mean, this is what the person with double pupils said? Nangong was somewhat shocked when she heard about Nangong Chen's performance in the astronomy pavilion that day. Yes, master, that person is the one with double pupils. I didn't expect that he could even write poetry. It's really unexpected. Ximeng recalled, her beautiful eyes showing a hint of passion, like a little fangirl. Nangong fell silent after hearing this. Even her state of mind, which had been suppressed for a long time, was shaken by that sentence. She vaguely felt a tendency to become a saint. This reminded her of what the old man in the Tianji pavilion had said to her. This time in Chu City, there's an opportunity for you, which may be related to becoming a saint. Whether to go or not, think about it yourself. Master, what's wrong? Ximeng felt that something was wrong with Nangong and asked. Nangong shook her head and slowly told the story of Tianji Pavilion. After hearing this, Ximeng's pupils shrank slightly, and she couldn't help but gasp. Is Master going to break through to the saint level? Soon, she reacted and asked, Master, how can I help you? Nangong whispered a few words to her. After hearing this, Ximeng's pretty face suddenly turned red with shame, and she said, I see. Well, go ahead. Master believes in you. Nangong waved his fist, smiled, and gave an encouraging look. Jiang family. The celestial bell has rung. It's time for you to set off. An elder of the Jiang family spoke, looking at the two leading men. On the side, there were many young boys and girls. They had strong auras and extraordinary looks. They were obviously geniuses of the Jiang family. And today, he was sent by the family to assist Jiang Che and Jiang Yingwei. Brother Che, you must assist the moon goddess well after you enter. She is the seed of this mission and holds great significance. In the crowd, a young man with pale eyebrows spoke up, his eyes flickering. It was obvious that he and Jiang Che had some problems. Sure enough, after hearing this, Jiang Che secretly clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. I know. After hearing this, the other Jiang family disciples also spoke up. Yes, I never thought that there would be a day when our Jiang family would have a monster that could be considered a seed. This is an honor for the entire Xiantian domain. Thanks to this life, our moon god has awakened. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been so successful. I believe that the moon goddess will astonish the world with this immortal treasure. By then, our Jiang family will be able to reach a new level. These disciples looked at Jiang Yingwei with admiration and passion in their eyes. Even the elders did not refute at this moment, and looked at Jiang Yingwei with satisfaction. Jiang Yingwei glanced at them lightly, ignored them, and said to Jiang Che beside her, Let's go. Jiang Che's eyes lit up, and he nodded. Soon, the two disappeared from spot. Chapter 150. The Chu family sisters and brothers welcome. Chu family. At this moment, there were huge crowds of people outside the Chu family's door, and the flow of people was endless. They all knew that today was the day when the immortal treasure was opened, so they all rushed over to watch with the intention of watching the fun. Strangely, the Chu family did not stop this behavior, but instead built a stand nearby. This also allows everyone to clearly see every genius who enters. Soon, a cry of surprise was heard. Look, isn't that the Chu family saintess? She's out too. Just as everyone was concentrating and looking carefully, a beautiful woman walked out of the Chu family gate. This person was Chu Yin. Next to Chu Yin was Chu Xing. As soon as the two of them appeared, they attracted the attention of countless people. Sister, why did father ask us to come out to receive guests? Doesn't he have a dedicated servant at home? Chu Xing asked with some confusion. After hearing this, Chu Yin did not answer immediately, but thought for a while before slowly speaking. Today's immortal treasure. The people who came will surely be the top names in the future Xiantian territory. I think father wants us to contact them. After all, these connections may be useful in the future. Chu Xing suddenly understood. I see. No wonder Chu Ruchuan looked so bad when father asked us to come here, Then, Chu Xing looked at the people below as if he had thought of something. A complex expression flashed across his face, and he said, If the person with double pupils comes, do we really have to face him as strangers? After all, we have shared joys and sorrows in the Nine Heavens secret realm before. Ahem. Chu Yin coughed lightly, as if reminding herself of something. When Chu Xing saw this, his expression changed, and he suddenly turned around to look, only to see a pair of eyes as cold as a snake staring at them. The owner of this gaze was Chu Ruchuan. When Chu Ruchuan saw Chu Xing looking at him, a hint of suspicion appeared in his eyes, and then quickly disappeared. Not far away, everyone saw Chu Yin coughing and felt a little distressed, and they all spoke up at once. St. Chu's health is still as poor as ever. From the past to now, there's been no change. Yes, I don't know what kind of disease St. Chu is suffering from. Even the Chu family can't treat it. According to others, it seems to be related to the saint's physique. From their perspective, Chu Yan's face was very pale, her beautiful eyes were very haggard, and she looked so pitiful that people couldn't help but feel distressed when they saw her. No wonder so many people sympathized with it. But soon, everyone seemed to see something and focus their attention on a stream of light. At the gate of the Chu family, as a yellow light dissipated, a figure walked out. This person was dignified and had a very upright posture. Wang Tung, the young master of the Wang family. Hiss. I didn't expect him to be the first to arrive. Yes, apart from the top 10 monsters on the heavenly ranking, he's the closest to it. He seemed to have been ranked 12th last year. Could it be that if he competes for the top spot this time, he will be able to enter the top 10 of the heavenly ranking? When everyone saw this figure, they all spoke up. Wang family, Wang Tung. Wang Tung's face was calm as he bowed to Chu Yan. Young Master Wang, please come in. Chuyan opened her face and smiled. At the same time, a hint of surprise flashed in her eyes. Wang Teng actually broke through to the peak of the Great Power Realm. Could it be that he found some opportunity recently? After hearing this, Wang Teng nodded to Chu Xing beside him, walked straight in, and his figure quickly disappeared from everyone's sight. Chu Xing, who was standing by, was a little surprised when he saw this. TSK, something's wrong. Wasn't this kid quite arrogant before? Chuyan did not respond, but looked at another purple light in the void. The people watching around also focused their attention, wanting to see who the second person was. As the light faded, a graceful figure walked out. Ximing has delicate facial features, crystal clear skin, and purple hair that falls like a waterfall, giving people a comfortable feeling. This hazy temperament is the symbol of the literary and Taoist lineage. Astronomy holy land, cherish the dream. Ximing blinked and spoke, her purple eyes very smart. When Chuyan saw it, she couldn't help but smile. Please come in. What others don't know is that Ximing is actually Chu Yan's best friend. What a beautiful woman. Is this the saint of the astronomy holy land? Sure enough, Fairy Ximing is not only beautiful, but also has powerful cultivation. I just don't know who is worthy of Fairy Ximing. When everyone saw the purple figure, they sighed and their mouths were watering. Soon, two more figures appeared in the void. After everyone saw it clearly, they felt a little bored and their voices became much quieter for a while. This also confirms that these two people are not famous geniuses. Brother Liu, why do I feel like the noises have quieted down a lot since we arrived? A burly figure looked around and said in a low voice. This person was none other than Xiongda from Howren Pavilion. Lu Dazhu, who looked a bit silly at the side, smiled after hearing this and said, simple. Under the gaze of everyone, Lu Dazhui produced a cart from somewhere, and the cart was emitting a dazzling light. It turned out to be a cart full of spirit crystals. Spirit crystals are much more precious than spirit stones. Although they are not as good as the best spirit crystals, they are also of extraordinary value. In an instant, everyone's eyes were fixed on them, and countless gazes were directed at them. There was no way, this was too damn attractive. Let me hear you where your screams. Lu Dazhu took a deep breath and said loudly with a smile. Boom! In an instant, overwhelming screams rang out, pushing the atmosphere to a climax. Lu Dazhu pushed the cart into the void, and wherever there was a louder sound, he would throw money there. For a moment, the entire stand was filled with cheers, and the sound was far more exciting than the previous two people. When Xiongda saw this scene, his eyes widened. It's actually still like this? He's such a fool with so much money. Why don't you just give me the money? I'll ask someone to call him. Hiss, my stomach hurts a little. Chu Xing sighed, a little jealous, and then seemed to suddenly remember something and turn away. Chu Yan grabbed his collar and said through gritted teeth, if you rush to pick it up, I'll kill you. After hearing this, Chu Xing also smiled awkwardly. Strange, my stomach suddenly doesn't hurt anymore. Chapter 151 The two heroes of the Jiang family have arrived. Howren Pavilion, Xiongda, Tianbao Pavilion, Lu Dazhu. The two of them bowed in turn and said. When Chu Yan saw this, her beautiful eyes flickered. She also bowed back and said, please come in, both of you. Xiongda and Lu Dazhu smiled and then went into the yard. Seeing that the two had walked away, Chu Xing glanced at them and whispered, what a fool with so much money. Next time if I have the chance, I must make friends with Lu Dazhu. Chu Yan's beautiful eyes showed a smile, which seemed to have an inexplicable meaning. She knew how much it cost for the young master of Tianbao Pavilion to come in. To be honest, she was shocked when she found out. Otherwise, how could Lu Dazhu, who was only listed on the heavenly ranking, get a place among these geniuses? At this moment, the faces of the onlookers were filled with joy. They had not expected that they would have such an unexpected surprise just because they came here to join in the fun. Soon, it seemed that the news was spreading more and more widely, and more people came to watch. For a moment, the crowd reached a peak again. You guys are too late. We just picked up a lot of spirit crystals. A casual cultivator saw other people coming and smiled. After hearing this, these people looked a little disappointed and then shook their heads. No problem. I have nothing to do today, so I'll take a look at the monsters in this immortal treasure. One of them said calmly, with so many people here, how much can they pick up? It's just some small profits. The people around him also nodded. You have to know that the geniuses who came today are all great figures that are rarely seen in the Xintian domain in a century. If they could take a look at them, it will satisfy their curiosity. Did you see that lame guy? It's him. I heard he just picked up a lot of spirit crystals, over 100. He could be considered truly wealthy now. The wandering cultivator smiled, pointed at a lame man near the stands, and spoke in a low voice. After these words were spoken, the man who had just spoken looked a little uneasy. Hundreds of spirit crystals, he can never earn that much in his entire life. Thinking of this, some people's eyes flashed and their gazes drifted towards the lame man, as if there was an inexplicable meaning. At this moment, two ghostly figures appeared in the crowd. Their figures flashed as they shuttled through the crowd, with a faint light emanating from their feet. The sea of people was nothing in their eyes, and after a while, they were at the front of the group. I didn't expect your wind step to be useful. The girl who seemed to have walked out of a poem or painting smiled and looked at the handsome boy beside her. The temperament of these two people is very extraordinary, and they have attracted a lot of attention among the crowd. If Nangong Chen were here, he would definitely recognize that these two people were the Qing siblings. After hearing this, Qing Fan smiled innocently. Young master gave me some pointers at that time. Young master. After hearing this, Qing Yu showed a look of reminiscence, and then looked forward, as if looking for a figure, with a sense of urgency in his heart. But soon, Qing Yu shook his head and said with a complicated expression, I haven't seen the young master. Could it be that he has already gone in? It should be. After all, the young master left earlier than us. He should be in the Chu family right now. We are late. Qing Fan said with a bit of bitterness in his heart. After hearing this, Qing Yu felt empty inside, and her beautiful eyes couldn't help but dim. I didn't even get to see the young master for the last time. What a pity. Qing Fan also said nothing, looking down, wondering what he was thinking about. The two of them stood out among the crowd, like a silent person, totally out of tune with the surrounding atmosphere. But soon, a burst of excited cheers broke out from the crowd. After hearing this, the two of them couldn't help but raise their heads and look into the void. I saw two streams of light appear in the void, one male and one female, both carrying extremely strong pressure. When Qing Fan saw this, he couldn't help but tremble in his heart and look shocked. These two were very strong. He even felt that the woman on the other side could crush him to death with just one finger. Is this the top-level evildoer in Xiantian territory? Feeling such a gap, Qing Fan clenched his hands and felt a little powerless. Qing Yu remained silent, her beautiful eyes also looking over there, not knowing what she was thinking. It's actually the Jiang family's twin prides. I didn't expect them to be here. The auras of both of them are extremely terrifying, especially the moon goddess. With such pressure, the surrounding void is somewhat deformed. How far has she gone? As expected, the second place on the heavenly ranking is real. In this world, I'm afraid that only that person can suppress one. Everyone exclaimed in amazement, their eyes gleaming with brilliance. After hearing what these people said, Qing Fan's face suddenly showed enlightenment, and then he seemed to have thought of something, muttering, Are all the opponents of the young master these monsters? He couldn't help but think of the figure in white in the courtyard, sitting on the armchair, leisurely and elegant, like a true immortal from another world. Monster? You don't understand. Qing Yu shook his head and said, Compared to them, you are the real monster. Her beautiful eyes were very fiery, with a hint of passion and admiration, just like the most loyal believer. No matter what, these people are formidable opponents for young master's immortal hiding this time. Qing Fan said softly, a look of worry on his face. In his eyes, the young master is very strong, but these monsters are not vegetarians either. If he were to face them, the young master would probably not have it so easy. After all, these people are the strongest geniuses in the Xiantian domain. Now that he has recovered his cultivation, as a genius, he can naturally see many things that ordinary people cannot see. Below, Jiang Yingyue walks gracefully like a lotus, with a delicate face, but she reveals an innate indifference and arrogance. Behind her, there was a bright moon with divine light, which made her look like the mysterious lady above the 9 heavens. Such a stunning beauty naturally received countless screams as soon as she appeared on the stage. Countless people looked at this beautiful figure with a hint of infatuation in their eyes. Jiang Che, standing beside him, although equally extraordinary, can only be a background figure compared to him. Jiang family, Jiang Yingyue said calmly, without a trace of emotion in her eyes. In her eyes, no one in the world could accept her gift, not even her own people. Jiang family, Jiang Che, who was following behind, also laughed. Obviously, he wanted to make friends with the two people from the Chu family. Chu Yin smiled and said, Please come in, both of you. Chu Xing on the side glanced at Jiang Yingyue, frowned, but didn't say anything. Only after the two of them had walked away did Chu Xing complain. This legendary moon god is truly as aloof and arrogant as the rumors say, and doesn't take anyone seriously. There is a hint of dissatisfaction in Chu Yan's beautiful eyes, but she suppressed it and said nothing. Chapter 152, Su Li's Changes. On the other side, in Zuatian Pavilion, inside a luxurious box, Nangong Chen looked at the beautiful woman in front of him with a calm expression and a faint smile in his eyes. I really didn't expect to meet Su Li, whom I hadn't seen for a long time, on the way here. Haven't you eaten yet? Nangong Chen said softly, handing over the recipe in front of him. Su Li was about to refuse. After all, she had already been practicing fasting when she was 10 years old. But seeing Nangong Chen's eyes, Su Li thought for a moment and did not refuse. She picked up the recipe and looked at it carefully. Nangong Chen was surprised when he saw this. He originally thought that she would refuse, but he didn't expect that she would take it directly. This was a little beyond his expectation. Thinking of this, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, as if he understood something. Come to think of it, since they got married, he didn't seem to have ever been with Su Li like this. Whenever they met, they were either in battle or on the way to battle, which made him a little doubtful. Was this considered a marriage? Now that I think about it, it's not bad. Soon, Su Li returned the recipe to Nangong Chen. When Nangong Chen saw it, he was not surprised. He called the waiter and asked him to take the recipe away. Well, they're all vegetarian dishes. He can understand that girls want to lose weight. Nangong Chen's eyes flashed as he thought to himself. Just like that, the two of them fell into silence. The atmosphere between them was a little strange and subtle. After all, they hadn't seen each other for so long. How have you been lately? Nangong Chen thought for a while and decided to break the silence. Seeing this, Su Li glanced at Nangong Chen and burst out laughing. What? It's only been a short time, and you don't recognize me? Su Li was already a stunning beauty, and when she smiled like that, the world seemed to darken for a moment. Nangong Chen was a little dazed for a moment, but after reacting, he fell silent. That's right, he fell silent. At this moment, Nangong Chen was a little confused. This script was wrong. Su Li should be the type of person who speaks little and has few emotions. It is difficult to get into his heart. Nangong Chen actually didn't know that after all they had been through, Su Li had already let down her guard against him and revealed her true self. Seeing Nangong Chen silent, Su Li snorted, walked up, grabbed Nangong Chen's collar, and said, "Man, don't you know what's good for you?" She looked quietly at Nangong Chen's face. If you look closely, you can see a hint of shyness in her eyes. Huh, something's wrong. Definitely not. Nangong Chen's brain froze. He stood there motionless, a look of shock in his eyes. Could it be that his wife has been possessed by someone else? And the person who possessed her is a domineering CEO? Seeing that Nangong Chen still remained silent, Su Li silently put down her hand, and then quietly walked back to her seat, without saying a word, with her head lowered, like a child who had done something wrong. If you look closely, you can see the blush on her ears. "You damn Chi Yao, you lied to me, Wu. Nangong Chen ignored me." Su Li cursed with a sense of grievance in her heart. "You still say you are an experienced person. Liar, I will never believe you again." Chi Yao smiled awkwardly. "How could I possibly lie to you? This is written in the book itself. The way couples express their love. God knows it won't work on this guy." She didn't dare reveal the novel in her hand, and only hid it behind her. If someone was behind her, they would definitely see the big words, "The domineering son of God falls in love with me." If people knew that a quasi-emperor dared to publish such a book, I'm afraid it would shock countless people. "Didn't you say you're an experienced person? Don't you know whether it's useful or not?" Su Li asked in confusion, with a suspicious look in her eyes. After hearing this, Qiao touched the back of his head and said embarrassedly, "Maybe times have changed. After all, I think this is fine." She was also a little surprised. Why couldn't this be possible? If it were her, maybe the effect would be different? It turned out that during this period of time, Su Li had been thinking about how to express her love. After all, no one taught her this. Qiao, on the other hand, was like a fly, saying every day that if she didn't fight for it, she would cry when Nangong Chen was snatched away by someone else. After much thought, Su Li decided to become a disciple of Qiao, a veteran, and that's how the scene just now happened. On the other side, Nangong Chen saw Su Li, who was like an ostrich, and he also reacted. After thinking for a while, he asked, "Did someone else teach you this?" He had thought that Su Li had been possessed by another body, but now seeing Su Li like this, he sighed. Some things could really be seen at a glance. After Su Li heard this, it was as if the power button was pressed. Her beautiful eyes suddenly brightened up, and she nodded heavily. Then, she whispered, "I have a friend. I asked her how to express my love, and she taught me this way." After hearing Su Li's answer, Nangong Chen showed a look of realization, with some black lines on his forehead. He knew that how could his Su Li, who was nothing, do such a thing? Someone must have taught her. But the person who teaches this must have read too many domineering CEO stories. He even dares to teach things directly from novels. At this moment, Nangong Chen knew that there must be an unreliable military advisor behind Su Li. Considering that Su Li was in the Nine Heavens secret realm, but there was a soul reminding him. That should be this soul. Soon, Nangong Chen figured everything out, and there was a softening in his eyes as he looked at Su Li. Nangong Chen, am I really stupid? I don't know how to express my love at all. Seeing that he was silent, Su Li spoke in a low voice, her eyes dimming again. She always felt that she was useless except for cultivation. Nangong Chen laughed. A hint of doting flashed across his face. He looked in her eyes seriously and said, Su Li, look up at me. Su Li also raised her head and looked at him, her ice blue eyes sparkling. I don't hate what you did just now. I was just a little surprised by your change. Now I understand. I just think you are cute. I like you very much. Also, I don't agree with you that you're stupid. You're really good at expressing your love. At least for me, I can feel your feelings and that's enough. Your sincerity is enough to make my heart flutter for the rest of my life. Nangong Chen said word by word, looking into her eyes. Chapter 153. The two set off, Shao Qi's doubts. After the words fell, Su Li was stunned. Her heart was like a stone dropped into a calm lake, causing ripples to spread out. Nangong Chen's words seemed like a devilish sound, echoing in her ears. I just think you're cute. I like you very much. Your sincerity is enough to make my heart beat for a lifetime. After Su Li reacted, her pretty face flushed immediately. She turned away without saying a word. And in her heart, a turbulent wave has already been set off. Is he confessing his feelings to me? But aren't we already married? No. Su Li, why are you so stupid? Your husband is saying sweet words to you. Su Li felt her head getting hot, and her consciousness was a little hazy. She had never experienced such a big scene before. Suddenly, she seemed to have thought of something, and a smile appeared on the corner of her mouth, which was so charming that it could captivate everyone. It turns out that my husband likes me so much in his heart. I'm so happy. I wish he could talk more in the future. I really love listening to him. When there is no one around, I must pick up my little notebook and write down what he says to me. Nangong Chen said all these words in one breath. He looked calm, but in fact, he was a little upset. I feel a little embarrassed. Am I confused? Nangong Chen thought about it in his heart. His expression was a little complicated, but when he saw Su Li's appearance at the moment, he breathed a sigh of relief. If the two of them hadn't met today, this little girl would have kept those thoughts hidden in her heart, waiting for them to suddenly explode one day. But fortunately, it is finally solved now. Qi Yao, who was standing by, saw the two of them like this, and the corners of her mouth curled up wildly, almost unable to suppress it. The more she looks at these two people, the more they seem to be a perfect match, and the more she likes them. It's just too good to be true. However, when she thought of what Nangong Chen had just said, she couldn't help but blush, but she hid it well. Su Li is her reincarnation, which means that Nangong Chen was also confessing to herself just now. Even her state of mind, which had remained unshaken for thousands of years, showed some ripples today. I have to admit, this guy is really good at coaxing women. Even she is a little influenced by him. Then, Qiao seemed to have thought of something and showed a suspicious look. Could it be that this guy has said these things to other women as well? No, I have to keep a close eye on him from now on. I can't let our little Su Li get bullied. Yes, it's just for my own reincarnation. It's not that I have any feelings for this guy. Qiao thought as a matter of course, and then looked at Nangong Chen with an inexplicable look in her eyes. At this moment, Su Li's heart finally calmed down. She turned her head and looked at Nangong Chen. When she saw that handsome and angelic face, Su Li's face turned red again, thinking of what Nangong Chen had just said. She opened her red lips slightly, as if she wanted to say something, but then fell silent. After holding in for a long time, she said calmly, I like you too. Soon after she finished speaking, a blush appeared on her fair ears. Seeing her sincerity, Nangong Chen smiled and responded, Yes, I know. I've always known. Su Li responded in a low voice. My two guests, the food is here. At this moment, the waiter pushed the door open and brought the dishes to the table one by one. For a moment, the table was filled with a fairy-like aura, which aroused people's taste buds. After the waiter served the dishes, he left quickly, fearing to disturb the two of them. Obviously, Su Li and Nangong Chen had such extraordinary temperaments that some senior executives noticed them as soon as they entered Zhuotian Pavilion. Then eat first. Nangong Chen laughed and broke the awkward atmosphere. Su Li nodded. Seeing these dishes, she couldn't help but be surprised. They seemed to be cooked quite well. Soon, she took a bite gracefully, her beautiful eyes shining. As long as it tastes good. Seeing her expression like this, Nangong Chen also smiled. Before long, most of the food on the table had been eaten. Nangong Chen glanced at the sky and said, It's time to set off. Yeah. Su Li nodded beside her. Shao Qi, take us there. Suddenly, Nangong Chen muttered to himself, not knowing to whom he was talking. When Su Li saw this, he tilted his head, a little confused. Shao Qi, are you calling me? But that's not my name. I saw a small, fiery red figure on Nangong Chen's shoulder, and it flew away from him. The next moment, a huge red dragon appeared in the void, wrapped in flames and emitting a terrifying aura. As soon as it appeared, countless eyes fell on the red dragon. Their faces were filled with shock, their eyes were filled with fear, and their bodies were shaking uncontrollably. They didn't know why there were such powerful monsters in Chu City. However, the next moment, a figure in white clothes jumped up and stood on the huge dragon head. Nangong Chen looked at Su Li and smiled. Come up. When Su Li saw it, a look of sudden realization appeared on her beautiful face. It turned out that she wasn't calling me. Her graceful figure flashed, and the next moment she was standing next to Nangong Chen. After Xiao Qi sensed it, he did not refuse. There was a hint of excitement in his dragon eyes, and his whole body was trembling. After all, it now knows that the person above its head is its mistress, who is extraordinary. When Su Li saw it, she was puzzled. What's wrong with it? Doesn't it welcome me? Thinking of this, her eyes turned cold. She was already thinking about what to eat. Braised dragon meat? Or steamed dragon head? After all, a mount that doesn't listen to its mistress is not a good mount. In an instant, the temperature around dropped a lot. Except for Nangong Chen, her attitude towards others is very bad. Even monsters are no exception. Xiao Qi below suddenly felt a terrifying, murderous aura hovering above his head, and his body couldn't help but tremble. How dare someone pretend to be the hostess? Xiao Qi thought to himself. After all, Nangong Chen would not release murderous intent towards him. The only possibility was that there was something wrong with the woman above him. No, it's just too excited. It knows you're my mistress, and it's reminding you to hold on tight so it can show you off. Nangong Chen saw this and said quickly. After hearing this, Su Li was stunned for a moment, then silently withdrew his breath, nodded, and smiled. Xiao Qi is really a good dragon. Xiao Qi was stunned again, and a hint of anthropomorphic shock appeared in his huge dragon eyes. What's going on? Why did the murderous aura suddenly disappear? Is it just my imagination? Forget it. It's still too complicated. I won't think about it for now. The next moment, Xiao Qi soared into the air, and the huge dragon body disappeared into the void in an instant. Chapter 154. You still dare to come? When the people at the scene saw this scene, they breathed a sigh of relief. Finally gone, the aura of this dragon is too scary. I feel like I will be eaten in the next second. No, that person on the dragon, just now, seemed familiar. Suddenly, some people reacted. Red dragon mount. He has double pupils? Someone in the crowd spoke incoherently. His breathing was unstable, and he was deeply shocked. When the others heard this, the scene of that day appeared in their minds, and they couldn't help but gasp. Fuck, it's true. Don't you think the woman next to him looks familiar? She looks like the ice phoenix goddess who's been making so much noise lately. The direction they are heading. Could it be that they are going to participate in the immortal hidden treasure? For a moment, people on the street became restless. After all, they saw two legendary figures appear today. In Zhuaxian Pavilion, a figure was looking at this side, with shock in his eyes as well. He had just guessed it, but after he actually knew it, he was still shocked. If Su Li was here, he would definitely recognize that this person was the waiter who served the dishes just now. On the other side, in front of the Chu family's gate, the Void Island is still extremely popular, and more people are flocking here. Fortunately, the Chu family is a top force with a vast territory, otherwise it cannot accommodate so many people. Soon, another figure fell. A man in black and a python robe walked out. There was a surging pressure on his chest, as if he was a natural saint. As soon as everyone saw the man's face, they were shocked. The reason is simple. This person is the second true disciple of the Sun God Palace, Yi Guqing. Isn't this Yi Guqing? I didn't expect him to dare to come. Wasn't he badly injured by the Ice Phoenix Goddess the other day? Yeah, if I were him, I wouldn't dare come. After all, I've lost all my face. I can't win, so I'll let my elders take action. Then he's dead. The one with double pupils is the Taoist companion of the Ice Phoenix Goddess. This time, he's going to have a hard time. But speaking of which, it seems that the one with double pupils hasn't arrived yet, and neither has the Ice Phoenix Goddess. Keep your voices down. He's looking in their direction. TSK, 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 that look in his eyes, it's like he wants to devour us. Is he going to do it in front of so many people? Disdainful voices were heard from the crowd. After hearing this, Yi Guqing glanced at them fiercely, his face a little gloomy, and his fists clenched. He said nothing and even walked right past Chu Yan without even glancing at her. After he left, Chu Yan was silent for a long time and cursed softly. You are sick. Chu Xing on the side was trying hard to suppress his laughter. His face flushed red, and he didn't dare to laugh out loud. At this moment, Qing Yu in the crowd seemed to have heard something shocking. He turned to look at Qing Fan and said excitedly, Did you hear that? The young master hasn't arrived yet. We can still see him later. I heard that too, but sir, didn't he set out a step ahead of us? Did he encounter something on the way? Qing Fan responded, his eyes a little confused. Qingyu's pretty face paused for a moment, and then revealed a trace of worry. Yes, the young master left before us. Did he encounter something? I hope he is not in danger. On the other side, in the courtyard, the Chu family specially prepared a resting place with abundant spiritual energy for these monsters coming from all over the place. After these geniuses arrived, they each found a place to sit down. They seemed to be resting with their eyes closed, but in fact they were always paying attention to the outside world. These monsters have spiritual awareness that is not comparable to that of ordinary people. They can sense any movement outside. I didn't expect that Yi Guqing would dare to come here. Isn't he afraid of death? Who knows? Maybe he doesn't want to live anymore. Lu Dazhu and Xiongda were sitting together. When they saw Yi Gu appear, they were communicating with him using their spiritual thoughts. Soon, a black figure came in from outside. It was Yi Guqing. Yi Guqing glanced at them coldly without saying a word. He casually found a place to sit cross-legged and close his eyes. The others who were looking at Yi Guqing also withdrew their attention and stopped paying attention when they saw this. Wang Teng glanced at where Yi Guqing was, with a look of fear in his eyes. This person is very strong. He is worthy of being a top 5 evildoer on the heavenly ranking. If the 4th on the heavenly ranking is this strong, how strong must the 2nd on the heavenly ranking be? Thinking of this, Wang Ting couldn't help but look toward a certain place, looking at the strange bright moon, and swallowed secretly. Even though Wang Teng is now at the same level of cultivation as these monsters, there is still a gap between them. Ximeng also glanced at Yi Guqing, her beautiful eyes showing curiosity. Is this person the one who has a grudge against the Ice Phoenix Goddess? Speaking of the Ice Phoenix Goddess, Ximeng felt a little sorry. She didn't expect that Nangong Chen already had a Taoist partner, and she was a woman with such outstanding talent. It seems that there is no hope in this life. Ximeng felt a little depressed and stopped thinking about it, concentrating on preparing for this immortal treasury. Soon, several streaks of light appeared from the outside world, and not long after, several figures walked in. When everyone saw them, their eyes flickered. There was a divine light in the eyes of a man, and his robe seemed to be wrapped in a fairy aura. This man was Lu Wuxin from the Lu family. These people are quite familiar with him. As soon as Lu Wuxin came in and saw Jiang Che, he walked over with some joy. Everyone was not surprised to see this. After all, the two were old acquaintances. There are also 2 men who look like scholars and are well-mannered. They are the 2 evildoers of the one family, Wen Shun and Wen Ze. These 2 people are from the 4 major families in Tianqi City and should not be underestimated. When Wen Shun and Wen Ze came in, their faces were very calm. They looked around and randomly found a place to sit down. The other Tianjiao didn't take the initiative to chat with him because they were not very familiar with the monsters in Tianqi City. The last person was a man with short hair and fierce eyes. His facial features were very dark, and he looked like the type that was not to be messed with. Oh, there are so few people here. It seems I'm not the last one to arrive, the man said with a wicked smile. The leader asked me to come here to make new friends, but it seems there are no new friends. Chao Li looked around, with some disdain in his eyes, and shook his head. After he said this, some people looked at him with strange eyes. Who is this person? Chao Li of Qilin sect. I heard he's the strongest disciple of Qilin sect. He could carve a Qilin tattoo on his body at the age of 8. He has extraordinary combat power and is not to be messed with. He's currently ranked 5th on the heavenly ranking. Lu Dazhu and Xiongda were communicating with each other. When Lu Dazhu heard this, a look of shock appeared in his eyes. Chapter 155, The Thoughts of the 3. Everyone, please come in. Outside the door, Chu Yin spoke softly, looking at the geniuses coming before her. Saint Chu, you are too polite. We will have to rely on you for this immortal hiding. Some of them spoke modestly and bowed. Chu Yin smiled and responded politely. After they left, Chu Xing, who was standing by, revealed a trace of fatigue and complained, there shouldn't be anyone here. Why did it take so long to entertain these 20 geniuses? I'm really impressed. I don't know what Father and the others were thinking, making us do such physical work. Chu Yin was already accustomed to his complaints and ignored them. Instead, she looked at the list in her hand, muttering to herself, with a complicated look in her eyes. 4 people have not arrived yet. On the list, these 4 people are marked with special symbols. Obviously, they are the key to this immortal treasure. Among them, the names of Nangong Chen and Su Li were circled in a strange way on the list, and it was unclear what they meant. In the courtyard, each genius sat in his own seat, each with a different expression. Some were looking at the people who had just come in, while others had their eyes closed, as if they were resting. They didn't interfere with each other, and the whole atmosphere was very strange. Of course, there are exceptions, such as Lu Dazui, who is now making friends with various geniuses and can be regarded as a clear stream among them. Hey, fellow Taoists, you two look unfamiliar. Are you from out of town? Lu Dezhu walked up to the two people from the Wen family and said with a smile. After hearing this, the vigilance in Wen Shun's eyes disappeared, and he turned to look at Wen Zhe, as if confirming something. After the two exchanged glances, Wen Shun also spoke, his tone somewhat cold. Yes. No wonder, but since you have come to this place and entered the immortal treasure with me, it means that you are destined to be with me. In this case, these two top-grade spiritual weapons are given to you. After hearing this, Lu Dazui continued to smile and took out two magic weapons from somewhere. One is like a brush, emitting a spiritual power, and the other is a landscape fan, engraved with an ancient formation, which is amazing. Wen Shun looked stunned, as if he had misheard. Could it be that this guy had discovered our identities? He looked at Wen Zhe, who had his eyes closed, his eyes flashing as if conveying some message. What the hell is this kid? Take it. I just observed that this guy has secretly given spiritual weapons to almost all the geniuses present. His purpose is obvious. He wants to make friends with us. In that case, why shouldn't we accept it? Wen Zhe responded with his divine consciousness. The strange thing was that the voices made by the two people sounded extremely old and did not sound like those made by a teenager at all. So that's how it is. Wen Shun's eyes revealed a hint of deep meaning. He wants to make friends with the two brothers of the Wen family. What does it have to do with us? But after entering the immortal treasure, I will make sure that this kid's death will not be so painful. Ha! Wan Xin, you are really cruel. If it were me, I would have spared his life. Liang Gui, stop pretending to be a good person. Don't I understand you? Wen Shun was speechless. If I were you, I would give this kid the magic weapon and kill him myself. When he finds out, the expression on his face will definitely be perfect. I can't help but get excited just thinking about it. On the other side, Wen Zhe closed his eyes tightly, and his body trembled as if he thought of something. After hearing this, Wen Shun secretly gave him a thumbs up and said, "You were so cruel." The brief exchange between the two ended, and to the outside world, it seemed like only a few breaths. Lu Dazui was still waiting with a smile on his face, but the corners of his mouth were slightly stiff. He looked at the two of them, and his eyelids twitched. Since this brother is willing to give it to us, we have no choice but to accept it. But don't worry, from now on, you are our brother, and I will not treat you unfairly. Wen Shun spoke, his eyes flashing, with an air of scholar, and reached out to take the two spiritual weapons. But in his mind, there was another picture. You're the one who agreed to it. It's Wen Shun. What does it have to do with me? Ha ha ha. Wen Zhe, who was standing beside him, also gently opened his eyes and looked at the two spiritual weapons, with a hint of greed in his eyes. This thing is very valuable. If you sell it, you can get a good price. Just when Wen Shun was about to get it, Lu Du suddenly withdrew his hand, took back the two top-grade spiritual weapons, and explained with a simple smile. Wait a minute, I suddenly realized that these two spiritual weapons seem to have been stored for a long time and are a bit damaged. Some of their functions may not be working. Wait a minute, I will find you two more spiritual weapons that are definitely more awesome than these two. Suddenly, Wen Shun was a little surprised, and a look of dissatisfaction appeared in his heart. But after hearing Lu Daju's explanation, he also patiently waited. So that's how it is. No problem, fellow Taoist. Keep looking. We understand your intentions, but you spent so much money today, which makes us feel a little sorry. If it really doesn't work out, forget it. We don't really need these spiritual tools. Wen Shun was polite and pretended to be sincere. Ha ha ha. I could get a top-grade spiritual weapon and deceive other people. I am indeed a genius. Seeing this frankness, those who were secretly paying attention to this place were all impressed. As expected of Tianqi City, known as the home of gentlemen, the disciples there are indeed extraordinary. They are worth making friends with. When Wen Zhe saw this, his eyes showed shock, and he secretly gave him a thumbs up. When it comes to acting skills, you have to be the best. Is it really possible? I think I've already given away all the items except these two top-grade spiritual weapons today. Lu Dazhu, who was groping around, suddenly stopped when his eyes lit up after hearing this. Of course. No. What the hell? This guy didn't play by the rules. Wen Shun was stunned and stood there with his eyes wide open, as if he had heard something incredible. Wen Zhe, who was standing aside, also froze in laughter. What's wrong? Seeing the two people surprise, Lu Dazhu scratched his head, a little confused, his eyes very clear. I'm so sorry. I only brought a dozen or so top-grade spiritual weapons with me today, and now they've all been distributed. I don't have any left. If you don't believe me, you can ask other people. Then, Lu Du said with some self-blame, slapped his forehead, and a trace of regret flashed across his face. After hearing this, Wen Shun looked at the other geniuses present. Seeing Wen Shun's look, these geniuses nodded slightly. After all, they had taken someone else's magic weapon, and they couldn't turn their backs on him now. Chapter 156 Nangong Chen arrives. After seeing this, Wen Shun didn't know what to say for a moment. He showed a suspicious look. Could it be that this kid really had finished sending it? Something is wrong. This kid is the young master of Tianyuan Pavilion, and he only brought out such a small thing? Wenze also felt something was wrong and communicated secretly with Wen Shun. Could it be that this guy is lying to us and doesn't really want to give it to us? Could it be that he saw through our disguise? No, that's not right. How could this be possible? He is at the level of a great power. How could he possibly see through our disguise? Let's keep watching and see if this guy is pretending or is really. At this moment, Lu Dao suddenly gritted his teeth, as if he had made up his mind, and said, "If you don't believe me, there's still some time before the immortal treasure is opened. I can take you to the Tianyuan Pavilion headquarters to have a look. It's very close, right in Chu City. When the time comes, you can choose any of the magical weapons inside. Since this is to compensate you, I allow you to pick out 2 holy weapons." As soon as he finished speaking, countless shocked gazes fell over. Did they hear correctly? A saint's weapon? This was something only a saint could wield. Even among these noble families, there weren't many of them. Yet, Lu Dazhu was willing to give it to them without hesitation. For a moment, these people looked at Wen Shun with envy. Even Jiang Yingyue looked over here, her eyes like the bright moon, carrying an inexplicable meaning. At this moment, Wen Shun and Wenze were also shocked, and they swallowed their saliva in their hearts. You know, this is a holy weapon, which is not comparable to the best spiritual weapon. If they can get it, their strength will have a qualitative leap. Others don't know the value of it, but don't they understand it? Soon, their eyes began to heat up. It seems that this kid really didn't lie to them. At this moment, they completely trust Lu Dazhui in their hearts. Lu Dazhu looked at the 2 of them, and there was still a look of pain on his face, which was not something he could disguise at all. Wen Shun looked at Lu Dazhui with more and more favorable eyes. Just when he was about to agree, a voice rang in his mind, like thunder in his ears. "Idiot! What place is the Tianyuan Pavilion headquarters? There are countless masters inside, and there are even more layers of screening to enter. If we listen to this kid's past, his identity will definitely be discovered." Wenze cursed angrily in his mind, very anxious. Wen Shun paused for a moment, and after he realized what was happening, he couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. Yes, if they go in, their lives will be in danger. But this is a holy soldier. Wen Shun felt a little unwilling, as if the duck that was about to reach his mouth had flown away. "Do you have the life to take it? Let me remind you, we are on a mission." Wenze responded with a sneer. Wen Shun suddenly woke up and gave up the idea. He came back to his senses, looked at Lu Dazhu, smiled bitterly, and said, "The holy weapon is too precious, so let's forget it." When the others heard this, they were shocked, but then they looked at Wen Shun with deep respect in their eyes. He truly is a gentleman. If they were in his place, they would definitely not be able to achieve this level of mindset. After hearing this, Lu Dazhu also smiled, feeling very guilty. "Okay, I will definitely bring more next time. I really apologize to you fellow Taoists today. It's nothing, it's just a small matter." Wen Shun waved his hands, pretending to be indifferent, but his heart was bleeding, as if he had lost something important. When everyone saw this scene, the respect in their eyes deepened. "Oh, by the way, you can ask this guy to give us those 2 top-grade spiritual weapons. Even if they can't be used, they can still be sold for a good price, which can be considered as cutting losses." Wenze seemed to have thought of something and sent a message. After hearing this, Wen Shun's eyes lit up. Yes, it would be worthwhile to take those 2 top-grade spiritual weapons. He snorted and quickly said, "Fellow Taoist Lu, we can actually accept that those 2 top-grade spiritual weapons are broken. Why don't you show them to us?" After hearing this, Lu Dazhu hurriedly shook his head like a broken wave drum. "No, this is absolutely not possible. My father said that this kind of damaged spiritual weapon must not be given to others. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable, such as self-destruction, and it will not be able to distinguish between friend and foe." Lu Dazhu enumerated hundreds of drawbacks, talking endlessly and relentlessly. The expressions of the people who heard this changed greatly, and it was obvious that they were deeply impressed. "Anyway, this cannot possibly be given to my friend. I'll take the risk," Lu Dazhu said with a fearless look on his face. After hearing this, the look in the eyes of those geniuses when they looked at Lu Dazhu changed, and they also showed a hint of respect. They originally thought that he was just a poor landlord's son with a lot of money, but they didn't expect that his inner realm was so high. "Okay, forget it then." Seeing this, Wen Shun's mouth twitched, and some black lines appeared on his forehead. He could only sigh helplessly and give up. "It is a big threat to you, but to them, it is just a toy." He could see that this guy hadn't lied to them. He was just too naive. People like him were not common in Xintian territory. Wenze was also disappointed. He didn't expect that in the end he would get nothing. "It's okay. After we go in and they die, their spiritual weapons will be ours, right? By then, we will be rich. At this moment, Wen Shun seemed to have thought of something and smiled evilly. When Zay's eyes lit up and he showed a hint of praise, you would still think so. At this time, several geniuses came in from outside the door. Seeing this, Lu Daju approached them with great interest, as usual. Seeing this, everyone regained their composure, and the farce ended silently. Suddenly, someone seemed to sense something, opened his eyes suddenly, and looked into the distance. Two terrifying auras were slowly rising from the distant east. The 15 evildoers present looked into the void at the same time, their eyes focused and revealing a deep fear. The big one is coming. Outside, Chu Yin seemed to have sensed something and also looked toward the east. Two figures appeared in the distant void. They stood there, emitting an extremely powerful aura. A man wearing dark yellow armor, holding a halberd in his hand. His eyes shone with golden light. Like an overlord, his fighting spirit bursting out, soaring into the sky. The other man, dressed in brocade, looked like a scholar, gentle as jade, but between his eyebrows, there was a vertical line, which contained tremendous power. These two people are none other than Li Qixin, who is ranked first on the heavenly ranking, and Li Muxiu, who is ranked third on the heavenly ranking. Li Qixin's eyes flashed as he glanced down, looking at those fiery eyes, and felt an indescribable sense of pride in his heart. Soon, he felt something was wrong. Why were these people looking in the wrong place? He was here, so why were they looking behind him? Could it be that after not showing up for so long, these people don't recognize me? Li Qixin muttered, feeling somewhat surprised. Li Muxiu, who was standing by, held his forehead with his hand and said helplessly, "Brother, look behind you." Li Qixin turned his head and saw the scene in front of him. His pupils shrank slightly, as if he had seen a miracle. Chapter 157 Mohan, Gumingling. I saw a fiery red figure flying through the sea of clouds in the sky not far away, rushing towards me. The overwhelming pressure made everyone present tremble. "What's this?" Someone murmured with shock in his eyes. The others did the same, their eyes fixed on the distance, not paying any attention to the two people in the sky. "Dragon, it's a dragon!" Suddenly, a young man in the crowd shouted excitedly, his eyes fiery. He only saw the outline in the clouds and mist and recognized it. When the others heard this, they were shocked and became even more focused. "Someone from the Dragon Clan has also arrived? That's not right. Where did the dragons come from in Chucheng?" But soon, some people reacted and said excitedly, "I know, it's the one with double pupils who has arrived. Have you forgotten? That day on the Chu family mountaintop, the one with double pupils rode a pure-blooded red dragon. The aura on his body was comparable to that of a quasi-saint." As soon as these words were spoken, some people in the crowd reacted and became very excited, looking at the dragon body with fiery eyes. Some others were a little confused because they came from other places today and naturally had not seen that battle. Is this true? There are people who ride dragons? This is too unbelievable. Yeah, I just don't believe it. How could a pure-blooded red dragon be enslaved? And this is at the quasi-saint level. Who in the world would dare to do this? It would be fine if you said it was a saint's mount, but it's just a junior. Who would believe that? In my opinion, you are praising the person with double pupils too much, aren't you? These monks in strange clothes shook their heads and spoke with a tone full of doubt. As soon as they said this, the whole crowd was in an uproar. Some people who had witnessed the battle on the top of the Chu family mountain started to speak up and refute. "Humph, you outsiders, you're not locals. How could you possibly know about the battle on the Chu family mountaintop, where the one with double pupils rode a dragon? That's right, you think we are fools, but when you really see it later, I'm afraid you will be scared to death. Heaven is my witness. What we saw that day was that the mount of the person with double pupils was a dragon. I think you are just pure sour people." These voices became more and more numerous, and soon, those who had previously questioned them no longer dared to speak. A sneer appeared on their lips, and they thought to themselves, "You country bumpkins who have never seen the world, if the person on the dragon is someone else, you will be slapped in the face. You people are so ignorant. How could someone possibly ride a dragon, and a quasi-saint dragon at that?" Among the crowd, a young man in plain clothes whispered. He had a restrained aura and a handsome appearance. He wore a sword at his waist, on which was a prominent MO character written in a flamboyant style. Obviously, there is no MO family in Chu City, so this young man should be from another state. Of course, even though he spoke quietly, others still heard it. A burly, wicked man turned around, stared at him, and said in a deep voice, "You were the one who called us ignorant?" The aura emitted by this villain is at the peak of the Purple Mansion realm. In Chu City, he is considered a master. When the others saw this, they all showed a hint of amusement, thinking that there was another good show to watch. This kid is so thin and weak. How could he be a match for this strong man? He will probably have to kneel down and beg for mercy soon. So what? Why, you refuse to accept, useless piece of shit. Emohan sneered and said disdainfully. When these words were spoken, the onlookers were a little shocked. They didn't expect that this guy would dare to confront them directly. When the villain heard this, his face flushed red, and his eyes showed a fierce look. Boy, you are looking for death. As soon as he finished speaking, he punched Emohan, and his cultivation level exploded immediately, obviously using all his strength. If a Purple Mansion Realm cultivator were here with this punch, he would probably be either dead or crippled, not to mention this kid who had no breath at all. He might be smashed into pieces. Seeing this, the people around felt relieved and did not feel any sympathy at all. They heard that this kid indiscriminately called them stupid. He should pay the price for his bad mouth. Do you really think you are the child of destiny? However, the next moment, the scene before them left them stunned. Emohan actually stretched out a hand and grabbed the villain's heavy punch. Then, under the villain's shocked eyes, he showed an evil smile and suddenly increased the strength in his hand. No, don't. The villain's face changed. He looked panicked and begged for mercy. However, it was too late, followed by a scream of extreme pain. Everyone saw that the villain's right hand was twisted and the bones were crushed, which showed that this hand was already disabled. Looking for death? Who is looking for death? Emo Hanksy smiled, a murderous look in his eyes. He walked forward slowly, obviously wanted to kill this evil man. At this moment, a voice sounded in his mind. No, if you kill him, you will definitely be caught by the city guards here. Do you still want to get that opportunity? After hearing this, Emohan was stunned for a moment, then gave up the idea. He spat on the evil man and said viciously, "You're lucky. I won't kill you today." The evil man's eyes were full of fear, as if he had seen a devil. He fell to the ground, trembling, and didn't dare to say anything more. When everyone saw this scene, they looked at Emohan with shock in their eyes. I didn't expect that this person, at such a young age, has such great cultivation. It seems that he is also a genius. They felt somewhat relieved that they had not taken action just now. Otherwise, they would have been the ones to be finished. Many people noticed the commotion here and looked over here. Among them, Ching Fan was also watching. His eyes flickered and no one knew what he was thinking. After feeling so many gazes, Emohan seemed to be accustomed to it and remained calm. But in his mind, it was a different picture. As expected, I am indeed the child of destiny that Master said I am. No matter where I go, there are always those foolish people who try to provoke me, but I defeat them easily. Ha ha, after 3 months, it will be 3 years. Gu Mingling, just wait. When the time comes, I will destroy your self-esteem and strength bit by bit under the gaze of countless people. It will be soon. This day will come soon. Once I get this opportunity, I will head to northern Shenzhou. Emohan seemed to have thought of something, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. What others don't know is that Emo Fan comes from a small family in a city in northern Shenzhou. He has been incredibly talented since childhood and is engaged to a genius from the Holy Land. He originally thought that he would be able to make it all the way, but he did not expect that when he was 10 years old, he suddenly got a strange disease and could not practice. His spiritual energy disappeared inexplicably. Overnight, he turned from a genius into a waste. When the fiancée, whom he had never met, found out about it, she came to his house to break off the engagement. Although she compensated him and did not humiliate him, Mo Fan still felt very aggrieved. She insulted her harshly and even made a 3-year agreement. Just when he thought he would never be able to practice cultivation in his entire life, he awakened to an opportunity in an accidental experience, and from then on he began his road to rise. And that opportunity was an omniscient and omnipotent book in his mind, the 100 Refinements Divine Scripture, known as the 9 Heavens Divine Book, and the person who had just spoken his mind was the spirit of this divine book. Chapter 158, Guess Why I Can't Laugh. At this moment, a terrifying dragon power came crashing down, and everyone looked up into the void with expressions of horror. Even the people who had just been watching Emohan withdrew their attention and turned their gaze to the sky. They knew that the battle between the two men just now was just a small episode, and the main event was above the 9 heavens. Emohan snorted coldly and looked up at the sky with some dissatisfaction. Someone actually dared to steal his thunder. Even if the other party was the so-called person with double pupils, he still didn't take it to heart. In his opinion, no matter how talented you are, as long as you meet him, you are destined to become his stepping stone, and no one is an exception. Even he has been so smooth all the way and has never encountered any setbacks. Thinking of this, Emohan showed a hint of amusement. He didn't know how powerful this person with double pupils must be. It would be challenging to step on him in that way, and it would give him a sense of conquest. Soon, the fiery red was seen getting closer and closer until it stopped in the void. When everyone saw it, they all gasped, because this is really too shocking. A red dragon with a body of more than 100 feet was hovering in the void. Its cold eyes made many people tremble and even feel a sense of submission when it glanced over. Obviously, the dragon blood of this red dragon is rich, and it is not said for nothing. Of course, this was not the most shocking thing. What shocked them was that there were two human figures on top of the huge dragon head. The man was dressed in white, standing with his hands behind his back, handsome as an immortal. When his eyes opened and closed, there were visions of heaven and earth destruction, emitting a hazy light. Just one glance at him made many people unable to resist, and their faces turned pale. Beside him was a stunningly beautiful woman, with 3,000 silver threads falling like a waterfall. Her face was stunning, and there was a mark of a phoenix between her eyebrows. She was like a true phoenix goddess, noble and cold. These two people were so stunningly beautiful that just standing there, they looked like a pair of golden boy and jade girl, making everything in the world pale in comparison. At this moment, after seeing this, everyone didn't know what words to use to describe these two people, and their eyes were full of shock. These two people are none other than the man with double pupils who has recently gained fame, and the Ice Phoenix goddess who became famous in one battle. Now that the two of them are standing together, it further confirms the recent rumors that this Ice Phoenix goddess is truly the Taoist companion of the person with double pupils. In the distance, Li Qixin saw this scene and couldn't help but reveal a solemn expression. He said, "This person is very strong." Li Muxia was a little shocked and looked at him. He didn't expect that his brother had such a high opinion of that man. You know, the brother next to him is the legendary #1 overlord on the heavenly ranking. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but smile bitterly. If even you think he's strong, then I can't possibly beat that man. Oh, by the way, let me introduce you. That man is the legendary one with double pupils, and the one next to him is the Ice Phoenix goddess. So it's him. After hearing this, Li Qixin's face became a little confused. Before this, he had vaguely heard about such a person from his clansmen, but he didn't expect to see him in person today. Then, as if he had thought of something, he added, "I'm saying those two are very strong. You might not even be able to beat that woman." Li Muxia's mouth twitched, not knowing what to say. After a moment of silence, he could only utter 3 words, okay. And below, outside the Chu family's door, Chu Yin saw the familiar figure. His expression complicated, he didn't know what to say, and then showed a hint of self-mockery. These two are such a good match. They're truly a couple. Chu Xing, who was standing by, also saw the beautiful figure beside Nangong Chen, and felt a little regretful. It seems that the rumors are true. Of course, after everyone came to their senses, their eyes were burning, they were excited, and they screamed wildly. For them, the reputation of the person with double pupils has long been well known in Xintian domain. Most of these people admire Nangong Chen, and it is natural for them to feel this way when they see the legendary person with double pupils today. Of course, women make up the majority of them. After all, there are not many men in the entire Xintian domain who are both good at fighting and good-looking. Not to mention that he is a man of 2 extremely perfect qualities. It is not an exaggeration to call him a woman harvester. A person with double pupils. A person with double pupils. The one with double pupils is so handsome. He's the most handsome person I've ever seen since I was a child. Oh my God, if I were the Ice Phoenix goddess, I don't know how happy I would be. The faces of those young female geniuses were flushed and their legs were trembling. Among them, there are some disciples from top forces. They are goddesses in the eyes of others, but today they are cheering crazily for Nangong Chen. When some male disciples who admired them saw this, they couldn't help but clench their fists and revealed a look of despair. "I have no sympathy for those with double pupils," someone shouted with a bitter look on his face, as if he had eaten shit. It's like you've been pursuing a goddess for so long, only to find out that she's also someone else's bootlicker. And those who had previously questioned the person with double pupils had disappeared completely. They didn't dare to say a word, for fear of being trampled to death by the red dragon. As soon as the two appeared, they ignited the atmosphere at the scene, which was far more explosive than the effect of Lu Dezhu throwing money. In the crowd, Qin Yu saw the woman next to Nangong Chen, and her previous excitement disappeared in an instant, and her beautiful eyes became a little dim. Is this his Taoist partner? As expected, only such a perfect person is worthy of him. She thought bitterly in her heart. Qing Fan looked at Nangong Chen with fervent eyes and admiration, not noticing anything wrong with Qin Yu beside him. So the young master hasn't been here for so long. You want to look for the Ice Phoenix goddess? Yes, I think I've discovered it. Is that red dragon, the little snake on young master's shoulder? I remember it was called Xiaoqi. Oh, I finally remembered it. Sister, why aren't you smiling? Qing Fan said with some excitement, and then looked at Qing Yu. Qing Yu glared at him and thought to himself, guess why I can't laugh. Chapter 159 analysis failed, and Mohan was furious. Of course, among the vast crowd, there was also one person with a cold look and a look of disdain. This person is none other than Mo Han. Fisk, isn't it just that you were born into a better family than me? Mo Han gritted his teeth, a fire of jealousy burning in his heart. The first time he saw Nangong Chen, he was shocked and a little stunned by her beauty. He couldn't understand why someone could be so extraordinary and have such a fairy-like temperament, especially that face, which made him feel a little inferior. Why do I feel inferior? When Mo Han had this feeling in his heart, he was also shocked. Then, he shook his head, treating it all as an illusion, and looked at the white figure in the void, his eyes full of murderous intent. Good, you actually gave me the illusion that you have the means to die, boy. He couldn't stand seeing those who were more handsome than him showing off in front of him. Of course, those who had previously shown off in front of him did not end up well in the end. Mo Han believed that no matter who it was, as long as they provoked him, they would eventually become his stepping stone. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but sneer. I'll let you stand a little higher so I can step on your head in the future. That would be awesome. When that happens, I'll smash your face into pieces and see if you can still be as calm as you are today. Mo Han thought jealously in his heart, and then turned his gaze to Su Li beside him with a look of surprise. This woman is truly the most beautiful woman he has ever seen, no doubt about it. Even he, who is used to seeing stunning beauties, was shocked and fell in love with her at first sight. But others seem to be saying that this woman is the legendary Ice Phoenix Goddess. Her talent and combat power are both top-notch. Thinking of this, his eyes became more jealous, and then he revealed a wicked smile. Ice Phoenix Goddess, you must have been forced by this dandy young man. Don't worry, female donor. I will come and kill this man in the future to liberate you. There was a hint of greed in Mo Han's eyes, and he looked straight at the snow-like figure. In the void, Nangong Chen seemed to have sensed something, and his eyes looked toward a place in the crowd below. Those double pupils seemed to be able to see through everything, carrying an extremely strong power. But after just one glance, he looked away, his eyes flashing with an inexplicable meaning, as if he had seen something interesting. What's wrong? Su Li, who was standing by, saw this and asked softly, looking at Nangong Chen with her ice-blue eyes. I saw an acquaintance and a bug. Nangong Chen said calmly, a smile on his lips. Naturally, he saw the two siblings of the Qing family cheering him on, which made him a little surprised. This place was quite far away from the Qing family, and they were giving him enough face by coming. As for the little bug, there seemed to be something strange about it, and the feeling it gave him was just like Su Outyan's before, that inexplicable aura. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but secretly memorize this person's appearance. He had a premonition that there seemed to be more leeks to be harvested. Insect. Su Li tilted her head and blinked her eyes, looking very smart and cute. It's okay, let's go. Nangong Chen didn't say much. With a wave of his hand, Shao Qi's body kept shrinking and laid back on his shoulder. Nangong Chen stepped on the void, his white clothes rustling, his figure flashed, and he moved downwards. Su Li, who was standing by, was confused when she saw this, but when she saw that Nangong Chen didn't say much, she didn't continue to ask any more questions and caught up with Nangong Chen. And below, among the crowd, look, the one with double pupils just looked over here. Do you think he's interested in me? Nonsense. He must be looking at me. No, what are you two men arguing about? If you want to look at someone, look at me. I'm so beautiful. Why would I look at you? The place that Nangong Chen had just glanced at caused quite a stir, and these men and women were arguing with each other until their faces turned red. Qing Fan, who was not far away, saw this and whispered, Sister, it seemed like the young master was looking at us just now. Well, the master has noticed us coming. Qing Yu's beautiful eyes flashed, and her tone was excited. She was 100% sure that the young master was looking at them. When she saw the young master looking at her, she made a lip gesture to say, come on. When the young master saw it, he actually nodded slightly. This is why she is so sure. On the other side, Mo Han was in a very bad condition at the moment. He was trembling all over, and his heart was as cold as if he had fallen into an ice cave. Just now, a glance from the so-called person with double pupils made him shudder, as if he was being stared at by God. For a split second, he even smelled a sense of crisis that he was going to die here. He dared to swear that this was definitely the first person in such a long time who made him feel like he was facing a formidable enemy. Balian analyzed this person. After a while, Mo Han finally came to his senses and murmured in his heart. Yes, a cold voice sounded. After hearing this, Mo Han felt more confident and his complexion gradually returned to normal. As long as this divine book can analyze this person, he is confident that he will be able to crush him under his feet in the future. This is his biggest secret. In the 100 Refinements Divine Canon, there's an extremely incredible spell that can analyze other people and show their strengths and weaknesses. It can also learn the skills practiced by others. This is also the reason why he was able to rise step by step from a small family and come to central China, where geniuses are everywhere. At the same time, Emohan's face couldn't help but show a hint of excitement, and his body couldn't stop shaking. The man with double pupils is very strong, extremely strong. If we can figure out his secret, we will definitely be able to get one step closer, and the 3-year agreement in 3 months will be completely secured. Thinking of this, Emohan showed a hint of joy, with disdain flashing in his eyes and laughing wildly in his heart. It seems that no matter how strong you are, you will eventually become my stepping stone. Haha. But soon, his fantasy was shattered, and he heard the voice in his head again. Parsing failed. Hearing this voice, Emohan stood there in a daze, his face full of disbelief, as if he had heard it wrongly. What did you say? Analysis failed. How is this possible? Can't anyone analyze it? Emohan was a little panicked. It was the first time he felt this uneasy, but after a long time, the 100 refining divine scripture in his mind no longer made any sound, as if it had been ignored. You, Emohan gritted his teeth and said with some resentment in his heart. He could vaguely feel that the book looked down on him. Just wait for me. I will catch you, the spirit of the weapon, and refine you. Let's see how long you can hide in there. In the 100 refining divine canon, there is a vast void space, and in it, there is actually a pink-haired girl sitting. At this moment, the pink-haired girl was sitting on an oversized book, her beautiful eyes dull, and she was shaking her delicate jade feet, wondering what she was thinking. After a long time, she seemed to sense something. She suddenly raised her head, her beautiful eyes shining, and she murmured, "Master, is that you?" If others saw the face under the pink hair, they would be shocked. Chapter 160. The Li twins had a pleasant conversation in front of the Chu family's gate. As the 4 powerful figures descended, countless eyes turned to look over. Are you the legendary person with double pupils? Li Qixin asked curiously, looking at Nangong Chen with a pair of eyes filled with a tremendous fighting spirit. The aura he exuded, while holding the halberd in his hand, had already caused many people's expressions to change. After hearing this, Nangong Chen narrowed his eyes and said calmly, "You are?" Obviously, he had already listed Li Qixin as the person who came to cause trouble. No matter who is looking for trouble, there is no good ending in front of him. At this moment, Li Muxiu saw this scene and couldn't help but hold his forehead. He poked Li Qixin's waist and whispered, "Brother, the other person has a name. It's Nangong Chen." After hearing this, Li Qixin finally came to his senses and said apologetically, "I'm sorry, Brother Nangong. I don't mean anything else. I just think you're stronger and want to get to know you. By the way, my name is Li Qixin." Li Muxiu, who was standing by, saw this and quickly said, "I'm his brother. My name is Li Muxiu." They looked at Nangong Chen and the other person with fiery eyes. Nangong Chen. Su Li. After that, Nangong Chen and Su Li spoke almost at the same time, their tone cold and indifferent, looking like they were not easy to provoke. After hearing this, the 2 brothers of the Li family looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. Fuck, these 2 really have that kind of relationship. Indeed, I didn't believe it at first. These 2 look like a perfect couple. TSK, 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 TSK. Now I believe it. After a glance, Li Qixin and Li Muxiu also came back to their senses. On the other side, Nangong Chen couldn't help but look at Su Li. After Su Li felt his gaze, she lowered her head shyly. Li Qixin, Li Muxiu. Nangong Chen muttered in his heart, feeling that it sounded familiar. After a while, I finally realized that it was the 1st and 3rd place on the heavenly ranking. However, the other party does seem to have a much better personality than the other geniuses he had met before. I've heard a lot about you 2. Nangong Chen said lightly, bowing slightly. When the 2 saw each other, they quickly responded. Li Muxiu said, No, I've heard that Brother Nangong is incredibly powerful and a leader among men. Seeing him today, I'm truly astonished. He's even more powerful than the rumors said. When he finished speaking, his words were sincere and full of admiration. Even a god would be pleased with his flattery. After seeing this, Li Qixin looked at Li Muxiu in shock. I never thought you could be so good at taking photos. Why haven't I seen you praise me like this before? Sure enough, after hearing this, Nangong Chen smiled and said, It's just a nickname. Not worth mentioning. Su Li standing by also covered her lips to hide her smile, with a faint smile in her beautiful eyes, which was very beautiful. Brother Nangong, if there's a chance, we must spar with each other in the future. People like you are not uncommon in the entire Xiantian realm. Immediately afterwards, Li Qixin also spoke. Nangong Chen said calmly, Okay, I have the same idea. The 2 smiled knowingly, and then the group walked into the Chu family. On the way, the group saw Chu Yin and greeted him with a bow. Upon seeing this, Chu Yin also responded quickly, but her eyes were a little evasive, as if she didn't want to say anything more. After seeing this, Nangong Chen didn't say much, but he felt a little strange in his heart. It's strange, this woman didn't have this attitude last time. Never mind, it's hard to guess a woman's heart. On the other side, Suli also noticed it and showed a strange look on his face. In this way, a group of people walked in talking and laughing, which surprised many people. Inside the courtyard, in the space filled with spiritual energy, the geniuses inside sensed this scene and couldn't help but show shock. That's how they started chatting, Xiongda said in surprise. Everyone looked surprised and confused. I thought that the man with double pupils, who was in the limelight, would have a clash with the overlord of the Li family. At least there was no collision. These two people shouldn't be able to talk so well. Now it seems that the two of them are chatting like friends who haven't seen each other for a long time. This also made those forces that were observing secretly look complicated, as if they were weighing something in their hearts. Along the way, Nangong Chen and Li Qixin had a very pleasant conversation. The focus of their discussion was on martial arts. After all, both of them were monsters among monsters, and the things they talked about were enough to cause a stir in the outside world. This exchange also benefited Li Qixin a lot. He was deeply shocked and couldn't help but admire Nangong Chen even more. Of course, Li Muxiu, who was eavesdropping on the side, also looked at Nangong Chen deeply, with a hint of fear in his eyes. What kind of monster has emerged in the Xiantian territory in recent years? Even my martial arts fanatic brother is like an ignorant child in front of him. I must tell my family in the future that they must never provoke such a freak. Li Muxiu thought to himself that Nangong Chen was an extremely dangerous person. Although Suli was listening, she was not too shocked. After all, she had a deep conversation with Nangong Chen, and with Qi Yao by her side, she basically knew everything she needed to know. Brother Nangong, seeing you today really makes me feel like we should have met earlier. Li Qixin sighed, and he was completely convinced in his heart in terms of understanding this. At the same time, a stronger desire to fight surged in his heart. Although his understanding was not as good as that of the opponent, he wanted to see how much his strength differed from that of the opponent. Soon, several people walked into his space. After seeing the scene in front of them, everyone was shocked. If I am not mistaken, the majestic statue in the distance seems to be the legendary Chu Zhu, and the spiritual energy here is so rich, there's a great possibility that this is the ancestral land of the Chu family. They had not expected that the Chu family would be so generous as to build the resting area of this immortal treasure in this place. Chapter 161. Send money and enter the immortal treasure. As the group entered, countless eyes fell on them. Their eyes were complicated, mixed with many emotions: shock, fear, admiration, fear, etc. Is this the current number one on the heavenly ranking? This level of pressure is truly astonishing. The most shocking thing is that the aura of the person with double pupils is not weaker than theirs at all. It seems that there might be some changes in this immortal hiding. Some elders of the Chu family who were watching were talking to each other in low voices. Li Qixin glanced around and found many familiar faces, which surprised him. When everyone saw him looking at them, they all lowered their heads, not daring to look him in the eye. After all, the power of the Overlord was so great that there were only a handful of monsters in the whole world who could match him. Nangong Chen also glanced at it, his expression indifferent. Although there were many unfamiliar faces, he didn't feel anything. After all, there was no need for him to know them. However, there are many acquaintances. Nangong Chen thought to himself with a faint look in his eyes. Suddenly, at this moment, a figure flew over and flashed in front of Nangong Chen, revealing a simple and honest look. That's right, this person is Lu Dazhui. After Lu Dazhui met Nangong Chen, he had been thinking about how to get close to him. Now, he came up with a solution. Brother Nangong, do you still remember me? Lu Dazhui said with a smile. A look of confusion flashed across Nangong Chen's eyes. Who is this person? There was no memory of Lu Dazhui in his impression. Su Li, who was standing aside, also looked at him unfriendlily. What did this guy want to do? Seeing Nangong Chen's expression, Lu Dazhui felt a little embarrassed, and then he said, of course it was the discussion held by Fairy Shiming in the astronomy pavilion. Hearing this, Nangong Chen showed a look of sudden realization. After searching his memory, he realized that this person was the one who was taken advantage of. I'm afraid that many of the immortal crystals I got there were given by this sucker. Does this guy want to come back? Thinking of this, Nangong Chen looked at him with some danger in his eyes. After seeing Nangong Chen's expression, Lu Dazhui's mouth trembled, as if he had thought of something, and he quickly explained, No, I don't want to get those immortal crystals back. I just want to make a friend. After he finished speaking, Nangong Chen's expression improved a little. It's better not to do that. Otherwise, he will have to see what it means to be as red as a flower. Su Li, who was standing aside, was confused and looked bewildered. So you're the victim? No, you're the philanthropist. Nangong Chen was about to call him a sucker, but after thinking about it, he decided to change it to a philanthropist. After all, this guy could be considered a money-giving boy. Philanthropist? Lu Daju's mouth twitched. Although he didn't know what Nangong Chen had just said, he knew it was a bad name. But even so, he was not angry and looked friendly. In short, it was good enough that the other party recognized him. Then he took out a ring with a smile and said, "There are 200 immortal crystals in it. Just consider it as making friends." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present shuddered and their eyelids twitched. They had been secretly eavesdropping on the conversation between the two, and when they heard about the 200 fairy crystals, even they could no longer hold back. You know, this is not a small amount. What's the concept of 200 immortal crystals? The combined assets of all the people present here are not that much. This is 20 billion spirit stones. And this Lu Daju, in order to make friends, just casually took out so many immortal crystals, which made them a little jealous. Not only were they somewhat shocked, but even Nangong Chen couldn't help but look at him seriously after hearing it, with a slight ups and downs in his heart. And then he said lightly, "Are you sure we just want to be friends? I'm telling you in advance that I won't protect you in the immortal treasure. If you have any suffering, you should bear it yourself. That is to say, these 200 immortal crystals might be wasted, and in the end, I won't even be able to get my money back. Do you agree to this?" After hearing this, Lu Daju nodded seriously and said, "I agree. I'm a young master of Tianyuan Pavilion, and I'm not sure of money. My father told me that sincerity should be exchanged for sincerity. If these are useful to you, then take them." Nangong Chen smiled and put the storage ring into his pocket. He had just taken a quick look and saw that it was indeed filled with immortal crystals, 200 of them, not a single one missing. He is very short of immortal crystals now. After all, he is still short of about 700 immortal crystals to upgrade the Tianyuan spiritual monument to the next level. Seeing this, Suli opened her lips slightly. "I just arrived, and someone came to give me money? Is it really that easy to make money from immortal crystals?" Not far away, the two people from the Li family had changed expressions, especially Li Qixin, who sighed and said, "Brother Nangong is the best. I admire you." Seeing Nangong Chen accept it, Lu Daju's face was very happy and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. "Just collect it. By the way, what's your name?" Nangong Chen suddenly asked. So much time had passed, and he didn't even know the other person's name. Hearing this, Lu Daju's mouth trembled and he said, "Brother Nangong, my name is Lu Daju." "So it's Brother Daju. I've heard a lot about you. If you have such a thing again in the future, remember to call me." After receiving the money, Nangong Chen's tone changed, and he looked at him more and more pleasingly, like a big, shining treasure chest. What he was talking about was, of course, the matter of sending money. Lu Daju smiled awkwardly and did not respond. He was afraid that the other party would really take it seriously. He just spent these 200 fairy crystals, and he felt the pain for a while. After talking for a while, Lu Daju said goodbye and ran to Li Qixin. Not long after, Li Qixin smiled brightly, and Lu Daju also smiled. Nangong Chen saw this and realized that what Li Qixin had obtained was not bad at all. Soon, time flew by, and the sound of footsteps was heard. After everyone sensed it, there were some ripples in their hearts. The Chu family is here. Not far away, Chu Shanhe was walking over with a group of elders, while Chu Yan was walking beside them. Chu Shanhe's aura was as deep as the abyss. His eyes were deep, and he said loudly, "Today, all the Xiantian territory's geniuses and geniuses have gathered here, which really makes our Chu family proud. Now that everyone is gathered, it is time to open the immortal treasure. I hereby declare that the 30,080th immortal treasure of Xiantian territory has officially begun. I hope all the proud heroes will remember their mission, defend the honor of Xiantian realm, fight for Xiantian realm, and perform at their best. Chu Shanhe, head of the Chu family and the 104th generation of Boundary Guardian, wishes you all a triumphant return." Then, the statue of Chu Zu in front of him suddenly burst out with a powerful force and rushed towards the sky. Chapter 162. 9 Rings of the Heavenly Bell changes. At the same time, in front of the ancestral hall, the ancient mirror that had already been shining suddenly burst out with a beam of light, tearing through the void, and a brilliant spiritual gate bloomed. Boom! At this moment, 9 bells rang out slowly, echoing in the heaven and earth. The sound of the bells was vast and boundless, as if writing a magnificent epic. The celestial bell tolls 9 times, sending off the celestial hero. This is an unchanging tradition since ancient times. At this moment, the entire Xiantian territory seemed to feel it. The 5 people of Shenzhou looked at the light in the void with excitement in their eyes. It's from Zhong Shenzhou. The celestial bell has rung. Those evildoers are about to go to the immortal treasure to fight. I've finally waited for this day. I believe that the Xintian territory's prodigy will achieve great things this time, and may even surpass our ancestors. You should know that the quality of this monster is the highest in all the years. With these geniuses heading out to fight, there's no need to worry about our Xintian territory not prospering. Everyone put down what they were doing at the same time and muttered to themselves. Tianji Pavilion. Beside a clear lake, two old men were fishing, their eyes as sharp as torches, staring intently at the calm lake surface. In the quiet atmosphere, it seemed as if an invisible battle was going on. Suddenly, as tiny ripples appeared on the lake, an old man in a Taoist robe concentrated his mind and raised his hand. In an instant, astonishing power burst out from his old arm. Oldly, it looks like I, the Taoist priest, will have to catch the fish first this time. The old man in Taoist robes narrowed his eyes and smiled. Then the bamboo-like fishing rod actually caught a dragon. The dragon's forehead was covered in blood, pierced by the fishhook. No matter how it rolled and twisted, it was firmly fixed there. Its huge dragon eyes seemed to be able to spit out anger, and it looked at the old man on the shore with murderous intent. The aura on its body was so terrifying that it even changed the color of the sky. Obviously, this is a quasi-holy dragon. Human, how dare you? How dare you hook a dragon? Let me down now. The dragon spoke in human language, and its eyes were very cold. After hearing this, the old man in Taoist robe seemed to be accustomed to it. He pinched his fingers together, and a bright golden light rushed out, and a tremendous pressure came over him. At this moment, the dragon felt it and seemed to have thought of something, with a look of panic on its face. Tianji Pavilion by Wu Dao. It turned out to be you. Don't kill me. I am willing to surrender. Of course, after he finished speaking, it was too late. The golden light had already wiped out the dragon's vitality. Bai Wu Dao swung his hand casually, and the huge dragon body actually went directly into the narrow fish basket. If anyone else saw this kind of extraordinary skill, they would be so shocked that they would be speechless. The gray-robed old man beside them watched without showing any emotion. This was already the fifth dragon they had caught today. After a while, the lake was still calm, without a single disturbance. Li Songhai sighed and said helplessly, "It seems there are no more dragons today. You scare them all away." Bai Wu Dao smiled and was about to say something when he looked up into the void, as if he sensed something. Li Songhai also looked over with a smile on his face. "Oh, the sky bell has rung 9 times. It seems that my 2 boys are also ready to go in." There was a hint of pride in his tone. "By the way, aren't you a fortune teller? Can you help me calculate the fortunes of my 2 boys this time?" Li Songhai raised his eyebrows and spoke as if intentionally or unintentionally. Bai Wu Dao, who was standing aside, ignored what he said, clasped his hands together, and closed his eyes. After a long while, he finally opened his eyes, his expression very solemn. "It's bad. Something bad has sneaked in." After hearing this, Li Songhai realized something was wrong and asked, "Can we still get there now?" After saying this, an extreme sword intent surged out of him, causing the void to tremble. Bai Wu Dao shook his head and said, "It's too late. They've already gone in." After hearing this, Li Songhai's face stiffened. "Who is it?" "People from the Wen family," Bai Wu Dao said softly, his eyes deep as he looked into the distance. "The Wen family? There's something wrong with the Wen family. That means it's true that there were problems in Tianqi City some time ago." Li Songhai seemed to have thought of something and said excitedly. Then he paused and said what he was worried about. "I heard that the blood and resentment in Tianqi City are surging. I'm afraid that the only people in the world who can do such a thing are those from the Blood God sect. If they were from the Blood God cult and had the means to enter, their status must be at least higher than that of the cult members. Oops, this immortal hiding place is likely to be dangerous." Li Songhai's face was shocked and worried. "You have to know that those who are above the Blood God cultists have all kinds of means, and their whereabouts are secretive. Even to deal with them, it will take at least some effort. If you go into the immortal treasure, it will be a naked massacre. Not to mention, if they were hiding in there with their methods, those bastards probably wouldn't be able to see them. Well, White, what can you do? Or maybe there's some way to get the information to the immortal treasure?" Li Songhai asked anxiously, placing his hopes on Bai Wu Dao. "This is all fate. Bai Wu Dao shook his head and muttered something, his eyes somewhat dull. Obviously, there's nothing he can do about this. This Blood God cult is truly damn despicable. I'm afraid their target isn't us, but the evildoers from other domains. This is a disaster, a catastrophe. Not only for us, but even for the entire 10 domains, it's a devastating disaster. These geniuses are the backbone of the next generation. The Blood God cult is doing this to cause the entire 10 realms to fracture and leave no successors. Did the Blood God cult actually do such sneaky things?" The more Li Songhai thought about it, the angrier he became. His eyes turned red, and he wished he could go into the immortal treasures and pull out and kill those two people from the Blood God sect. So, the Wen Shaoxing I met that day was also pretending. He seemed to suddenly think of something, and a trace of regret flashed in his eyes. At this moment, I thought it might be too late. The other party might have already made a plan and escaped from here. Suddenly, Li Canghai had a flash of inspiration and recalled something. Old Bai, didn't you vomit blood last time you calculated something? Is this crisis related to that? When Bai Wudao heard this, he was stunned, and a light flashed in his eyes. Yes, I suddenly forgot about that kid. He counted with his fingers and closed his eyes. After a while, he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Bai Wudao's face was pale, and his tone was a little excited. The variable this time lies with him. Chapter 163, Nangong Chen's terrifying popularity. Above the Chu family, as the last bell rang, there was a commotion among the crowd. Here they come. They're getting ready to go in. I'm so excited to witness these geniuses enter the immortal treasures. This is the first time. Yeah, I don't know about this immortal treasure. However, it would be great if I could see the performance of our Xiantian territory's geniuses in the immortal treasure. It's a pity that the immortal treasure is not open to the public. Who told you that? I heard that the Chu family has recently set up a spiritual realm in various Shenzhou, seemingly just to project the scenes inside. Oh, in that case, we can see the scene inside the immortal treasure. Everyone was a little disappointed at first, but when someone said something, they suddenly became interested. At the same time, many geniuses in the crowd were also paying attention to this scene. If they could really see the scene in the immortal treasury, they would like to see where the gap lies between themselves and the geniuses and monsters in other domains. At this moment, 20 streams of light burst out from the Chu family. The scene was shocking. The top monsters from all the families are gathered here at this moment. They stand on the void. Their fighting spirit is high. Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene. These geniuses are so dazzling that no matter who stands in front of them, they will be overshadowed. Of course, the appearance of these people instantly ignited the surrounding atmosphere. For a while, different supporters in the crowd were also shouting their names. Overlord, Overlord! Many people shouted in unison, their eyes burning with excitement. Among them, there are also many children from major religions. Overlord had been invincible from a very early age, and the reputation he had accumulated was not something that could be surpassed overnight. In the void, when Li Qixin saw this, a smile appeared on his lips, and he glanced at Nangong Chen, as if to say, I may have more supporters than you. Nangong Chen yawned lightly, looking indifferent, not really caring about it. Su Li stood quietly beside him, cold and beautiful, like a proud plum blossom in the sky. Soon, another voice appeared, and its voice was as famous as Li Qixin's. Moon Goddess, my goddess. Of course, most of them are men. After all, she is good-looking and talented, so which man doesn't like her? Jiang Yinyue's face was cold. She just glanced down and didn't say anything more. To her, these are just external things. But soon, a voice that resounded through heaven and earth from the crowd suppressed the previous two voices. A person with double pupils. A person with double pupils. In the crowd, countless young women were shouting loudly, their faces flushed, and they were cheering for Nangong Chen with all their strength. Among them, Qin Yu was also there, and he even used his spiritual power to bless him. The shouting even made the entire world shake, and it overwhelmed the entire audience, leaving only the three words, person with double pupils, echoing in the void. For a moment, those who supported other geniuses were also stunned and didn't know what to do. When Li Qixin saw this scene, he was stunned, and then the corners of his mouth twitched. This guy has too many supporters. Thinking about what I did just now, I feel a little embarrassed. I'm afraid that these supporters will drown me with just a mouthful of spit from each one of them. Jiang Yinyue's face also stiffened. She looked at Nangong Chen deeply, seeming a little dissatisfied. This kind of situation has never happened before. I better not go out with this guy next time. The others were also a little shocked. They had not expected that Nangong Chen's popularity would be so terrifying. Of course, this is the fact. Nangong Chen's popularity in East Shenzhou was already terrifying. Not to mention that after he came to central Shenzhou and experienced the battle on the top of the Chu family mountain, his popularity rose to a new level. The main problem was that Nangong Chen was not afraid of the threat from Prince Ao Long and killed him directly and forcefully, which resonated with many people. At this moment, when Su Li saw this scene, her beautiful eyes flashed, and there was actually a hint of joy and pride. After all, Nangong Chen is her husband. He is famous, and she will also be famous. Nangong Chen was dressed in white, with a calm expression, standing with his hands behind his back. His extraordinary temperament and face attracted the attention of countless women just by standing there. Seeing this scene, he felt a little helpless, and he didn't expect that he would have so many people supporting him. Nangong Chen glanced at the others and saw that they all looked a little sad, so he sighed and decided to give them some chances. There is no way being too handsome is also a mistake. Thinking of this, Nangong Chen waved his hand and signaled them to stop. Sure enough, in an instant, the excited shouts gradually became smaller and eventually disappeared. After seeing this scene, the other geniuses were stunned. It was actually possible to do this. This guy's a cheater. But soon, other voices began to sound. Among them, the voices of Lu Dezhu supporters were particularly noticeable, which surprised Nangong Chen. He didn't expect that Lu Dezhu actually had supporters. What did they see in him? Money? Everyone be quiet. Chu Shanha said with a serious expression, and his powerful aura immediately made many people shut up. They looked at Chu Shanha with a hint of curiosity. Is there something wrong? Then, with everyone witnessing, Chu Shanha slowly said, "Do you all know what I said earlier about recruiting a prince consort?" Everyone finally remembered that before this, the Chu family had declared that if a genius could find an item in the immortal treasure, he could become the prince consort of the Chu family. With the influence of the Chu family, his future would basically be smooth sailing, and he would have no worries from then on. Most importantly, he would have a wife who was as beautiful as an angel. That was the eldest daughter of the Chu family, Chu Yan. Saint Lady Chu is in the Xiantian realm and also has countless admirers, enough to circle the entire Chu city more than twice. It's quite terrifying. At this moment, in the void, after Chu Yin heard this, her beautiful face remained calm, her beautiful eyes were dim, and no one knew what she was thinking in her heart. In the immortal treasure, as long as you find one thing, that is, the Chu Zhu Ling, and bring it back to us, you can become the prince consort of our Chu family and my daughter's Taoist companion. Chu Shanha said lightly, his eyes deep. As soon as these words were spoken, all the geniuses present were moved. They looked at Chu Yan's beautiful face, as if they were sizing up something. Clan leader Chu, what is the approximate range of this token? If it is in the second round, we may be powerless. Soon, someone spoke up and said that this person was Yi Guqing from the Sun God Palace. His eyes flashed as he looked at the pretty figure and licked his lips. If you can't make it to the second round, it's probably possible to find a token. Chapter 164, Entering the Immortal Realm, Spiritual Realm. After hearing this, Chu Shanha shook his head and said, I don't know where this thing is. I only know that it is in the Immortal Treasure House. It looks like a token with the word Chu written on it. Remember, once you find it, you must keep it intact, and as good as it was when you first found it. Of course, if anyone finds it and maliciously destroys it, then they're the enemy of our Chu family. After saying that, a terrifying aura burst out from Chu Shanha, causing many people's faces to change. Don't worry, the Chu family is really guarding the immortal treasure, and we are not such unrighteous people. If we find it, we will definitely hand it over to the Chu clan leader. Li Muxiu said with a bow. Yes, don't worry, Chief Chu, if I find it, I will protect it to the death. Shona also spoke, grinning. After all, the identity of the Chu family's son-in-law made them all a little excited. Of course, they are not only interested in this aspect, but also in other deeper things and some of the benefits involved. Seeing them say this, Chu Shanha felt relieved and smiled. Okay, in that case, I won't waste your time. Let's go in. Nangong Chen's eyes flickered, and he felt a little curious. He was not very interested in the prince consort of the Chu family, but he was somewhat interested in this so-called Chu Zuling. You know, the so-called Chu Zhu was also a big figure 10,000 years ago. It is said that he was very powerful and talented. He had entered a realm above saints at the age of 1,000. However, it is said that since Chu Zhu entered this immortal treasure, he has never disappeared again, as if he had evaporated from the earth. Over the years, some people from the Chu family have gone in to look for him, but the information they got was very little. Some say Chu Zhu ascended to the upper realm, others say he was lost in the vast universe, and some even speculate that he died at the hands of immortal beings. Now that the Chu family asked us to look for Chu Zuling, I'm afraid they have received some kind of news. Forget it, if I could find that so-called token, everything will be solved. Nangong Chen shook his head and stopped thinking about it. On the other side, Wen Shun and Wen Zhe, seeing this scene, were also communicating with each other through their minds. Chu Zuling, that's quite interesting. According to the ambassador, that person is not dead, and his strength seems to have reached a new level. So, this token left by Chu Zhu contains a great secret. If we can get it, we might be able to break through to the level of a saint. When they said this, a hint of greed flashed in their eyes. Soon, the monsters in the void prepared to set off for the spiritual gate. May your martial arts flourish forever. Let us spread the name of the Xiantian realm. At this moment, the people below saw that these geniuses were about to leave, and they all said respectfully in unison. Their eyes were full of respect and admiration, as if they were looking at a hero. In fact, this is true. Although these geniuses who go to war for Xiantian domain are young, the burden on their shoulders is the hope of the entire domain. Moreover, the immortal treasures were extremely dangerous. Since ancient times, many evildoers had perished there, their bodies never returning to the Xiantian realm, only to be buried elsewhere. These geniuses are no more than 100 years old. In the eyes of many people, they are just as old as children, yet they are willing to take such risks for the Xiantian realm. This is also the reason why the people of Xiantian domain respect these geniuses so much. They couldn't lose. They represented a realm, the Xiantian realm. Behind them were the hopes and beliefs of millions of people. They could only keep moving forward. In the void, after hearing this, these geniuses with powerful auras raised a smile on their lips, felt their blood boiling, and countless beliefs were bestowed upon them. Fighting for Xiantian territory is their highest honor. Soon, without hesitation, they burst out with streams of light, and 20 figures completely disappeared from everyone's sight in just a few breaths. Chu Shana looked at the young figures, sighed, and murmured, "I don't know how many of these 20 people will be able to come back this time." He quickly regained his composure, looked at the other elders below, and asked, "Is the five-sided spiritual realm ready?" "Clan leader, everything is ready. Now all that's left is to communicate with the space within the immortal treasure." An old man with deep eyes spoke below. Chu Shana nodded and said, "It's time to let the world witness what these heroic young men who fought for our Xiantian territory have done. We can't let their honor go unwitnessed. Report, clan leader, we've found the immortal space. Now, we only need to give the order to open the spiritual realm." Almost everyone in Shenzhou could see the scene inside. Soon, a middle-aged man in an elegant gray robe excitedly said, "Okay, in that case, let's go." Chu Shana nodded. He hadn't expected that they could actually find the space where the immortals were hidden. He had thought it would take at least a few years. This gave them a big surprise. Eastern Shenzhou, Tianyuan Divine Dynasty. In the palace, Nangong Chen looked at the ancient land that his servants had brought back, and for a moment he didn't know what to do with it. "You said, who put it on the border and then ran away immediately after putting it there?" Nangong Chen said doubtfully. "That's right." A general spoke up. "Strange, did you see who was coming?" Nangong Chen continued to ask. After hearing this, the soldiers shook their heads, looking confused. They had never seen it before, and when it passed, only this ancient mirror was left. Seeing this, Nangong Chen didn't know what to do for a moment. When he was about to throw it away, suddenly, a middle-aged man appeared in the ancient realm. This man was Chu Shanha. "Everyone, I am Chu Shanha, the head of the Chu family in central Shenzhou. I believe you must be curious about this ancient realm. In short, this immortal treasure is related to our honor for everyone in Xiantian territory. I hope everyone can support the evildoers of our Xiantian territory." After listening to this, Nangong Chen also showed a look of enlightenment. So that's how it is. It seems that Nangong Chen has also entered the immortal treasure. Does that mean I can see him this time? Ha ha ha, good, good. He still misses him a little after not seeing him for so long. Nangong Chen was ecstatic. He never expected to have such an opportunity. He quickly gave the order, "Quick, notify all the people of the Tianyuan Divine Dynasty to look up into the void. Let's see this immortal treasure together." Yes. After hearing this, the ministers below were a little excited and responded quickly, and then quickly disappeared. "Oh, right, call over the little girl from the Wang family, the senior sister from the Sword Sect, and Zhou Wanner." Nangong Chen seemed to have thought of something and added. Chapter 165, Crossing the Sea. The other side, inside the immortal treasure house. When everyone opened their eyes, they were shocked by the scene before them. "Is this the interior of the immortal treasure?" Xiongda murmured, his pupils shrinking slightly. At this moment, they were standing on a floating building, surrounded by a sea of stars, with the Milky Way reflected in the sky. It looked like a dream, magnificent and beautiful. They seemed to be in a vast universe. Nangong Chen was also looking around here with a calm expression, and occasionally a strange look flashed in his eyes. "Here, seems like we're crossing the sea." He had seen Duhai in an ancient book. The description in the book was that Duhai stood outside the 10 realms in the vast universe, and was the connection between the 9 heavens and the 10 realms. Even the relevant terrain is consistent. The sky and the earth seem to be in an unbalanced state, with no end in sight and only the vast starry sky. Su Li, who was standing by, was also looking at the scene in front of him with curiosity. "Jiao, where's this place?" Su Li asked in her heart, her beautiful eyes sparkling with crystal light. She actually likes it here. After all, which girl doesn't like shiny things? TSK, I didn't expect that I could come to Duhai again in my lifetime. You, the immortal treasure, do have some tricks up your sleeve. Qiao was also looking at everything around her. expressing her wonderment frequently. After hearing this, Su Li looked bewildered. Cross the sea. That's right, it's crossing the sea. Crossing the sea is the place outside of your 10 realms, connecting to the 9 heavens of the upper realm. If you want to go to the upper realm in the future, you can also enter the 9 heavens through here. Qi Yao explained slowly, then paused. It seems that the so-called immortal treasure of yours should be a world born from certain will. It is quite mysterious. Qi Yao looked at the 10 portals in the sea of stars, with an inexplicable meaning in her eyes. After hearing this, Su Li felt a little confused, but she didn't ask any more questions. She knew that asking these questions at this moment might not be a good thing for her. This isn't the immortal's hiding place. As for where it is, you'll know in a moment. But you better not move around right now, or you'll fall and die. At this moment, Li Qixin spoke in a calm tone. After hearing this, although everyone looked confused, they still believed Li Qixin. The reason was that Li Qixin was the only one among them who had experience coming here. Even Xiongde, who was always a bit active, couldn't help but tiptoe and move cautiously after hearing this. Soon, everyone stood there quietly, with complicated expressions and different thoughts in their minds. Chu Yin looked at the several doors in the distance with a complicated expression. Wow, there are people who got here before us. That's interesting. Suddenly, an arrogant voice came from next door, and everyone looked up. I saw a door on the side that had been opened at some point, and several figures walked out of it. The one who spoke was the man in the lead. After Xian Tianyu and others saw it clearly, their eyes widened as if they had seen a ghost. These people were huge in size, and their height was even taller than usual, like little giants. They were wearing thin clothes, only a few pieces of straw clothes to cover their bodies. If you didn't feel their powerful aura, you would think they had run away from a primitive tribe. The man leading them was the biggest among them. He has dark skin, holds a hunting fork in his hand, has sharp eyes, and has great power hidden in his body. When Li Qixin saw this, he couldn't help but show a look of fear in his eyes, and explained to the others in a low voice. These people are the pride of the wild realm. They are born giants with immense strength, and should not be underestimated. The one leading them is their leader, Wan Tiansheng. He is terrifyingly powerful and was ranked 8th in the last immortal treasure. If you encounter them, do not provoke them. After hearing this, everyone looked enlightened, and then there was some shock in their eyes. Nakaba Wang, what was your ranking in the last session? Just then, someone asked curiously, and it was Lu Dezhu. As soon as these words were spoken, the corner of Li Muxio's mouth twitched, as if he had thought of something bad. Ranked, top 32. Under everyone's curious gaze, Li Qixin could only speak helplessly, but then he seemed to think of something and explained, I was only 16 years old at that time. Now 10 years have passed, and I am no longer the same as before. I am also confident that I can reach the quarterfinals. When he said this, he was full of confidence and had absolute self-assurance. Top 32. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone's expressions became a little excited. Such a powerful overlord actually only stopped at the top 32, which is the first place on the heavenly ranking of their Xiantian domain. However, when they heard that was the record of overlord when he was 16 years old, everyone's expressions eased a little, but they were still a little shocked. In that case, the person opposite should be of the same combat power as overlord. No wonder overlord told them not to provoke him. So this is the reason. Seeing their expressions changing wildly, Li Qixin coughed lightly, trying to cover it up. If I hadn't met a monster at that time, I might have only made it to the top 16. He explained aloud, trying to save his image. After hearing this, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. So that's what it was. I thought that the geniuses from other domains were all freaks. This made them feel a little desperate. Hey, you puny humans, you look so delicious. Among the group of people in Mangyu, there was a dark-skinned woman several meters tall who licked her lips and said. Others were also looking at them with strange eyes, and someone echoed, it's a pity that this isn't wild territory. Otherwise, I have to try their flesh and blood. It's definitely much tastier than our blood food. As soon as these words were spoken, the eyes of everyone in Xintian territory began to become solemn. Only Li Qixin seemed to have expected this. His face was calm, and he said, ignore them. We are now in the sea crossing and are protected by the world's will. As long as we don't go out, they can't attack us. After hearing this, everyone nodded secretly without saying anything. Soon, several more portals burst into light, and geniuses from other domains also walked out of the portals. When Mangyu and others saw this, it was just as Li Qixin said. Their eyes gleamed, and they looked towards other domains. After seeing this, Li Qixin slowly spoke. Those people in the wild territory are a bunch of lunatics. If you encounter them, run away if you can. It is said that they feed on human flesh and blood in the wild territory, keeping humans in captivity and are cannibals. In their eyes, we're just food. After these words were spoken, everyone's eyes turned red. They felt a little angry, and a murderous intent surged in their hearts. They were all human beings, so these words naturally aroused anger in their hearts. Then why don't the humans in the wilderness resist? Shimeng asked through gritted teeth, her beautiful eyes frosty. Chapter 166, Other Domains. After hearing this, the others also looked at Li Qixin. Yes, why don't the humans resist? Li Qixin showed a helpless smile and said, it's not that they don't resist, but those humans are too weak and have no right to resist. These giants are naturally friendly to spiritual energy and have strong bodies. In the wild territory, they're the strongest race. Just like us in the Xiantian territory, the human race is the strongest. As for how strong these giants are, look at those giants in the wilderness just now. Although they seem to have less aura than us, their bodies are actually strong enough to rival some of the Treasure Blood King beasts. They can easily tear apart powerful cultivators. After hearing this, everyone fell silent. They had not expected that these giants in Manyu were so evil. But there were also people who sneered and showed a hint of disdain. Weak races deserve to be eaten. When Shun thought to himself with a cold look in his eyes. In the eyes of the blood god cult, the human race is dirty and must undergo baptism to be truly converted and become real people. As for salvation, it means joining the blood god sect and practicing their skills. When Zhe was the same, without any sympathy at all. If possible, he would like to ask, is human flesh and blood really delicious? A little distance away from them, Nangong Chen and Su Li listened to every word Li Qixin said. Nangong Chen looked at the giants with a dim gaze and sneered. Keeping humans in captivity and eating their flesh and blood? I want to see what you are capable of doing. Obviously, after entering the immortal treasure, even if the giants did not take the initiative to look for him, he would go to find the giants. Su Li, standing by, was also very excited. Her hands were clenched, her chest rising and falling, and she gritted her teeth as she whispered, look, I'm going to freeze them to death when I get in. These ugly black freaks. Soon, many people from the Taoist sects appeared. The people in the Xiantian realm had been observing them. After seeing who they were, they couldn't help but be shocked. These geniuses from other domains have different appearances. Some of them have a pair of devil wings behind them, fangs on their faces, and black aura all over their bodies. They are people from the evil domain. There are also some people who have tails behind them, pointed ears, nails as sharp as blades, and a demonic aura rising to the sky. They are people from the demon realm. The most shocking thing was that from the last portal, a divine aura emerged and several white figures like angels walked out. Most of these people were dressed in white-black clothes, with bare ankles. Their eyes were empty and quiet, and their aura was very terrifying. Even the seemingly smallest woman among them is as powerful as a mid-stage god king. After seeing this, Lu Dezhu and others also took a deep breath. What race is this? They look very powerful. The gods, this is the god clan from the burial sky realm. Li Qixin explained. The fear in his eyes deepened. Seeing that everyone was a little confused, he explained, I don't know much about these gods, but the only thing I know is that they're the strongest race in these 10 realms. The man leading them is named Xuanjie, the champion of the previous Xianzong competition. After hearing this, everyone was shocked and looked at him with shock on their faces. Seeing them looking over here, a man from the god clan who was the leader in the burial sky domain seemed to have sensed something and glanced over here. Just this one glance made everyone in Xiantian domain feel as if they were falling into an icy cave, bringing an extremely strong sense of oppression. They couldn't help but shiver and were dazed for a moment. Is this the number 1 genius in the immortal treasure? Wang Tung murmured, his heart greatly shocked. In fact, the same is true for other geniuses. After entering here, they felt more and more desperate because the geniuses in other domains were more powerful than each other. Is it possible that there are no human beings? Someone couldn't help but ask. Li Qixin shook his head. Yes, they do. Didn't you see they appeared in human form? There are only humans here, but they are all mutated. We are the only ones who haven't mutated. This simple and straightforward explanation made many people's lips twitch. So we're the only normal people here. That can't be the case. Our Xiantian region is the weakest. Jiang Che couldn't help but ask. That's not the case. Our Xiantian territory is at least the 3rd or 4th place. Li Qixin rolled his eyes at him and shook his head. Soon, all the geniuses from the 10 regions gathered here, 200 people, not a single one left behind. After these people met, they didn't communicate much. Instead, they were very quiet. Even Mangyu, who had just come from Mangyu, didn't say a word. However, everyone in Mangyu looked at the geniuses of the gods with an obsessed look on their faces, and their mouths were almost drooling. Obviously, they're targeting those gods. Nangong Chen was also looking at these people. His pupils were blazing, and he had no intention of avoiding them at all. It was also the first time for him to see the geniuses from other domains, so he was naturally curious and wanted to observe them more. However, it would be even better if he could dissect them. Of course, after the monsters from other domains felt this naked gaze, they also turned around with anger on their faces, wanting to see who dared to do this. When they saw that it was the white-clothed man from Tianyuan territory, they were shocked. These eyes actually made them feel a little apprehensive, as if this man could crush them to death with ease. Soon, the geniuses from other domains all looked over and looked at the white figure from Tianyuan domain. Their expressions seemed a little complicated, and they deeply memorized Nangong Chen's appearance in their minds. For a moment, Tianyuan territory became the focus of the scene. After Li Qixin and the others felt it, they felt as if they were facing a formidable enemy, and their bodies tensed up. "Why are they staring at us?" Xiong said with some trembling. "I don't know whether they accept fairy crystals or not. Do you want me to send them some and try?" Lu Dezhu lowered his head and said tremblingly. Li Qixin also frowned, feeling somewhat puzzled. "That's not right. There wasn't such widespread criticism last time. Tianyuan domain has always been very low-key." Soon, he followed the gazes of these people and gradually looked until they landed on Nangong Chen, who was not far away. Li Qixin was shocked, and something in his heart was a little bit clear. "Damn, I was wondering what was going on, and it turns out it was Brother Nangong's fault." Chapter 167, everyone here is trash. Nangong Chen saw him looking at him, but he didn't care. He continued to stare at the geniuses from other domains, his eyes very fiery. The creatures in this realm can actually transform into elements. Can you imagine that a puddle of water is actually a genius? It's really interesting, but that's it. Let's take a look at the others. Just like that, Nangong Chen looked at each area one by one, nodding sometimes, shaking his head sometimes, as if he was looking at an NPC from another world. Seeing this, Suli wanted to remind him, but then thought better of it. "Human, just look at it. Any more would be offensive." Not far away, a voice was heard. It was the voice of a man from the God clan. "Interesting. I think this kid is getting a little impatient with life." On the giant's side, Wan Tiansheng said with cold eyes. When everyone saw this, their eyes turned cold. Finally, someone came to discipline this kid. I don't know if this kid will be scared to death and kneel down to beg for mercy. You know, the Burial Heaven domain and the Mang domain are not easy to mess with. Over in the demon realm, a woman in a red gauze dress also looked over. There was a hint of amusement in her charming eyes. "This human man is quite handsome. If he could be my male servant, he might be quite good." Hu Yao Yao licked her red lips and spoke. Behind her, there are 9 furry tails. The hair is crystal white and looks extremely smooth. "Princess, this is not a joke. You are of noble status. How can you not be touched by such a rustic person?" The white-haired young man at the side spoke with a serious expression. "If he has any trouble later, I can find a chance to help him." Hu Yao Yao ignored him and spoke to herself. After hearing this, Bai Long's eyes showed murderous intent, and he turned his head and stared at Nangong Chen. This human kid must be dealt with after he goes in. At this moment, Nangong Chen had become the target of public criticism. Countless eyes were looking at him with sneers on their faces, wanting to see how this human boy would resolve this situation. On the other side, Li Qixin and others frantically winked at Nangong Chen, signaling him not to mess around. Of course, these looks were ignored. Li Muxiu looked at Nangong Chen with some concern. "We're dead. The looks in those people's eyes are almost killing us," Xiong said in a low voice. Chu Yin and Xu Ming also looked at Nangong Chen with some complicated expressions, not knowing what to say, and could only sigh. Yi Guqing sneered. Seeing this scene, he was ecstatic and wished that Nangong Chen would be eliminated after entering the immortal treasure. Wen Shun and Wenze, on the other hand, looked at this side with a smile, as if they thought the excitement was not big enough. They hope that the matter will become more and more serious, so that their plans will be easier to carry out. "Hey kid, are you scared?" When Wan Tiansheng saw that Nangong Chen ignored him, he became furious and said coldly. Over in the Burial Heaven territory, the leading God clan man shook his head and said softly, his tone condescending, "It seems that the human race is too foolish. No wonder they are so weak." Xian knew. There's no need to look any further. This person must be frightened silly. Turning around, he looked at a younger girl beside him and said respectfully, "Let's wait and see." The girl from the God clan spoke calmly, her eyes emitting golden light in a tone that could not be refused. After hearing this, Xuan Jie was stunned for a moment and turned his head away helplessly. "I really don't know what's so good about this human kid. Is he looking at a monkey?" On the other side, after looking at the other 9 domains, Nangong Chen also turned his attention to the Mang domain. He just took a look at Wan Tianxing's physical body, shook his head, and spoke in disappointment. "It's rubbish. The other creatures in the 9 realms at least have some bright spots, but in Mang Yu and others, no bright spots can be seen in their double pupils. And as for the shortcomings, they have a bunch of them, as if they're a race formed by the fusion of some miscellaneous materials given by the heaven." His bloodline was disordered, he was abandoned by the heavens, and because he had been eating the original blood and flesh for a long time, his lifespan was extremely short, and he died early. When these words were spoken, the whole audience was shocked, especially Wan Tiansheng. He was stunned for a moment, and then looked at Nangong Chen intently, somewhat unable to believe it. What did you say? Wan Tiansheng spoke, as if wanting to confirm. The others also reacted at this time and smiled, because they were not the ones being scolded after all. He called you trash. At this time, a genius from the evil realm saw this, and said with a smile that he wanted to add fuel to the fire. After hearing this, Wan Tiansheng clenched his fists, stared at Nangong Chen intently, and said through gritted teeth, "Human boy, after entering the immortal treasure, you'd better not show up." But who would have thought that Nangong Chen shook his head, looked at the evil realm prodigy who had just spoken, and said calmly, "I'm not just talking about him. I'm saying that everyone here is trash." His voice was not loud, but it rang in everyone's ears. As soon as these words were spoken, the whole place fell into deathly silence. The smiles on everyone's faces froze there, and soon turned cold. What did you say? You said we're all trash. How could dare a human boy be so arrogant? Are you really not going to die here? Everyone, we in the wild territory have already reserved this man's head. Even a saint can't stop me. These people's faces turned red, and they started talking one after another, as if they had suffered a great humiliation. On the God clan side, after hearing this, the calmness in Xian Jie's eyes gradually dissipated. He looked deeply at Nangong Chen and said, Xian Jie, I want this man's head. Whoever dares to kill him, I will kill him. Xin, standing beside her, had a smile on her face. She knew that this person was not ordinary. After the words fell, some of the others who had previously wanted to compete with him for Nangong Chen's head no longer dared to speak. Anyone who dares to compete with Xian Jie is really risking his life. You have to know that he is the strongest monster in the God Clan and the champion of the last Xinzong. Even in this session, he is a well-deserved seeded player. After hearing the explanations from others, some geniuses who didn't know him also showed a hint of fear and dared not say anything more. After all, who wants such a strong opponent? On the other side, in the demon realm, Bai Long heard this and also bowed, saying, "Brother Xian, we are relieved now." Next to him, Hu Yaoyao glared at him and asked, "Did anyone ask you to speak?" "Bai Long, who do you listen to here?" Hu Yaoyao gritted her teeth, very dissatisfied. "Of course, Princess, but this human boy mocks us foxes like this. Does Princess want to explain for him?" Bai Long said lightly, and looked at Hu Yaoyao calmly. "You." Hu Yaoyao was speechless and ignored him. She looked at Nangong Chen with her beautiful eyes, revealing a hint of regret. What pity this handsome human is going to die like this. It is the first time she has seen such a handsome human. What a pity, what a pity. She's so pretty, but she's not very smart. Hu Yaoyao felt a little regretful, then turned around to look at these demon people, and silently turned her head back. Handsome guys are still pleasing to the eye. These monsters look like monsters and demons. They are really scary. No, they are really scary. In the distance, Nangong Chen heard Xian Jie's words. His brows were calm, his pupils were dim, and he didn't take it to heart. There are so many people who want my head. Who do you think you are? Chapter 168, Su Yao Yaya, Tianyuan Divine Dynasty. Have you heard? His Majesty suddenly summoned us, and it seems to be related to that thing in the sky. Outside the door, ministers came to the palace one after another. Someone whispered and glanced at the sky. There was only a huge formation projection standing in the clear sky in the void, but there was no picture in the projection, and it was obviously not activated. I've never seen such a large projection stone in my life. What a price did you pay to acquire it? You are truly worthy of your majesty. After hearing this, the others also took a look and exclaimed in shock. But I heard that the reason we were summoned here seems to be related to the crown prince. Yes. Who told you that? He's actually related to that person. Who else could have said that? Of course, it was our Prime Minister Su. He's a favorite of His Majesty now. I'm so envious. It was Prime Minister Su who actually said that. TSK, TSK, TSK. Then it seems this incident really is related to that person. The two ministers discussed in a low voice, then straightened their official uniforms and walked straight into the palace. However, this scene is still being played out in different places. On the street, the common people were also a little stunned when they saw the huge screen in the void. Is my vision blurry? What is this? It's so huge. When did our divine dynasty have something like this? Could it be something made by the court? Soon, a monk passing by saw this and explained. This object is a projection, carried by a magical instrument. I just don't know what the image projected is. There was a flash of confusion in the young monk's eyes. Obviously, he didn't know why he did this. After hearing this, the people around were surprised. I see. You monks are truly knowledgeable. You are still so young. You must be a genius. Everyone praised him. Prodigy? You are wrong to call me that. Who dares to call themselves a prodigy in front of those two from Tianyuan? The young monk laughed at himself, as if he had thought of something. A jade token was hanging around his waist, with the word Tianyuan on it very conspicuous. Brother, something bad has happened. Master seems to have asked us to return early. It seems something happened after we left the academy. Beside him, a girl of only 15 or 16 years old, wearing a Taoist robe from the academy, seemed to have sensed something and shouted at him. She looked very flustered. She hurriedly stuffed a few banknotes into the stall in front of her, picked up a piece of jewelry, and left. The stall owner was stunned when he saw it, then stretched out his hand and called out, "Miss, you gave too much. This is only 2 taels. I haven't given you the change yet." However, the figure in front of him had already disappeared. When the stall owner saw it, he sighed helplessly, remembering that face firmly, and said, "Young people nowadays, really, they're still so impulsive in doing things." Suddenly he paused, as if he had thought of something. No, that girl just now seemed to be from the school where the prince had studied. Oh no, I should have known not to charge her. The old man patted his thigh and said with some regret. On the other side, the young monk saw the girl and quickly asked her to stop and asked, "What's wrong?" The girl handed over the jade pendant in her hand. After the young monk read it, his expression was a little complicated. However, seeing the girl's anxious face, he comforted her. Don't worry, don't worry. The Tianyuan Divine Dynasty is the overlord of Eastern Shenzhou. With his majesty and his masters in charge, how could anything go wrong? It must be related to the projection in the sky. It turned out that Confucius, the master of Tianyuan Academy, suddenly ordered all the disciples outside to return to the academy. But after a while, the token flashed again. When the young monk saw it, he hurriedly picked it up to check. When he saw the contents inside, he was stunned. "What's wrong, brother?" Su Yao asked, blinking her beautiful eyes. Although she was young, her youthful face already showed the potential of a beauty, stunningly beautiful. Her eyebrows and eyes were somewhat similar to Su Li's. When she grows up, she will be a world-famous beauty. This is what Master told you personally. Take a look. Lu Ming said with a complicated expression, a hint of shock flashing in his eyes. Master asked me to go to the Imperial Palace? And he said it was my father's will. Su Yao murmured, seeming a little confused but not doubtful. After saying goodbye to this senior brother, Su Yao rushed to the palace without stopping. Lu Ming looked at her back, his expression becoming more complicated. When this little junior sister first came in, the master emphasized to him that he must take good care of her, and he didn't think it was a big deal at the time. Now I feel more and more that something is wrong. I was a senior brother in the Purple Mansion realm at that time, but I was actually sent to do a basic task with my junior sister, and the rewards were very generous. And this little sister never told the outside world her real name, and only said her last name was Su. Thinking of that young and beautiful face, which was somewhat similar to the goddess of the time, Lu Ming gradually guessed something. After a long moment, he sighed. This kind of person turned out to be my junior sister. I'm lucky enough to have gotten away with it. Master, you are hiding something so profoundly. If I hadn't seen that information today, I would probably have been kept in the dark for the rest of my life. However, from now on, I don't know if I can treat my junior sister the same way as before. On the other side, there is a simple courtyard. What on earth is this thing? And why is it standing above my Tianyuan? A middle-aged man in gray clothes put down the wood in his hand and wiped the sweat off his face. Suddenly, he saw a huge projection in the void and said with some confusion, in the yard, a beautiful woman was watering flowers and humming a little tune. Obviously, she was the man's wife. The atmosphere was serene and peaceful. Daddy, Mommy, I'm back. Suddenly, a childish voice was heard, and a little girl carrying a school bag was walking happily into the yard. The middle-aged man was a little surprised when he saw her. Yaya, why did you come back so early today? Did you sneak back again? Speaking of which, the middle-aged man's face became a little serious. Yaya made a face at him and retorted in a baby voice, "No, it wasn't. The teacher told us to go home early. The other academies also dismissed students early." After hearing this, the man was stunned for a moment, but didn't say much. "It seems that your father misunderstood you." There was a hint of guilt on his face. Yaya ignored him, took a small stool, and sat in the middle of the yard, looking at the flickering projection in the void. The two little ponytails behind her head were very cute. "What are you looking at?" At this time, the beautiful woman came over, touched Yaya's head, and asked softly, her eyes full of doting. "I'm looking at that. I heard from the academy teacher that it's very important. It's what got us out of school early." Yaya pointed at the projection in the sky and spoke. After hearing this, the middle-aged man looked at the beautiful woman and saw shock in each other's eyes. Spiritual Realm. Chapter 169, I thought I had fallen out of favor. In the palace. "Greetings, your majesty. Long live our emperor." At this moment, all the civil and military officials of the Tianyuan Divine Dynasty had gathered here, kneeling down and speaking respectfully in unison. And on the seats nearby, there were three beautiful figures bowing slightly. These three people are Wang Yuxuan, Zhou Waner, and Lu Ruyan. Get up. Nangong Chen glanced at them and said, then paused. Do you know why I called you here? He looked arrogant and wore an imperial robe. With the nourishment of the dragon vein day and night, he actually produced a lot of dragon energy. With every move, he showed his imperial power. Of course, all this is thanks to the fact that he has a precious son. After everyone felt this aura, their respect for him deepened. It seems that his majesty has been getting stronger these days. I wonder if he has reached that level. Of course, that realm is naturally that of a saint. You know, a long time ago, Nangong Chen had already reached the level of a half-step saint. Of course, it's my son and my daughter-in-law. Seeing everyone's puzzled expressions, Nangong Chen spoke with a smile on his face. As soon as these words were spoken, they caused quite a stir. Could it be that the crown prince and the crown princess have returned? That's not right. At this time, shouldn't they have already stepped into the immortal treasure? Could it be related to the projection in the sky? Everyone was speculating and whispering to each other. The crown prince and crown princess they were referring to were naturally Nangong Chen and Su Li, who were conferred the titles by His Majesty a while ago, and no one had any objection. At this time, Nangong Chen spoke and looked at the person below. Prime Minister Su, please explain it to them. Yes. In front of this group of ministers, a middle-aged man in a bright red official uniform stood up and responded respectfully. Su Ming held his head high and chest out, his face full of smiles. Even the aura on his body was much stronger. Compared with before, it was as if he had summoned a person. After seeing this scene, everyone's eyes flashed with envy. If only they had a good daughter who could marry the prince early. Now, the Su family has benefited greatly from being the in-laws of His Majesty, and it is no exaggeration to say that they have risen to the top overnight. Not only did Su Ming become the current #1 prime minister with immense power, but the Su family also became the second most powerful family in the Tianyuan divine dynasty. And the first one is naturally the Nangong family. Su Ming was holding a golden document and slowly said, the crown prince and the crown princess have fought for the Xiantian territory, which is a great honor. All the people of the divine dynasty have been observing the immortal treasure together these past few days. Anyone found slandering the crown prince and the crown princess will be killed without mercy. After he finished speaking, the whole room fell silent. Everyone's expressions of shock were difficult to conceal, and it took a long time before they reacted. So, the projection in the void can actually be projected into the immortal treasure. Whose method is this? It's so amazing. This is a great fortune for us, a great fortune, to see the crown prince and the crown princess fighting for the Xiantian territory together. I'll chop down anyone who dares to slander the crown prince and the crown princess. All the ministers in the court were extremely excited, with light shining in their eyes. You know, if the crown prince and the crown princess shine in it, it will be a perfect publicity for their divine dynasty. Such an exciting scene happened not long ago. That was when they learned what happened between Nangong Chen and Su Li in Chu City. The crown prince went alone to the summit of Chu's mountain and, with a crushing gesture, slew the immortal dynasty's crown prince. He spread the prestige of our divine dynasty and intimidated the scoundrels. The crown princess also made a stunning debut. On the Chu family arena, she defeated 3 monsters from the top 10 of the heavenly ranking in a row, and even severely injured the second true disciple of the Sun God Palace in the end. When they heard these things one by one, it was like a dream, and they were shocked. His Majesty was so happy that he held banquets for 7 consecutive days just to celebrate and cheer with the people of the divine dynasty. And these things were also written into the history of the divine dynasty and passed down for generations to worship. Similarly, these things were also widely publicized, and now almost everyone in the immortal dynasty knows about them. They all knew that above the evildoer were the crown prince and the crown princess. Now, they're also looking forward to seeing what the crown prince and the crown princess have achieved now. At this moment, all the ministers in the hall looked towards the projection in the void with fiery eyes. On the other side, after hearing this, Wang Yuxuan and the other 2 girls all had a gleam in their beautiful eyes. At the same time, they also felt a little regretful that they could not accompany Nangong Chen. Wang Yuxuan has a beautiful face and fair skin. Her eyes are lively and charming. This contrast is very attractive. I never thought that the 3 of us would meet in this way. Wang Yuxuan looked at the 2 beautiful figures and said with some emotion. Zhou Waner was wearing a black dress, with her black hair tied up, sitting there quietly, with a noble temperament, like the daughter of an ancient aristocratic family. Yeah, it's been a while. Zhou Waner spoke, her beautiful eyes flashing. Thanks to the fact that they are Nangong Chen's personal guards, they have had a lot of free time these days, and no one has come to harass them. On the contrary, there are more and more resources for cultivation, and they have now broken through to the realm of great power. They are considered to be the top group of monsters in the divine dynasty. And Lu Rian over there was just as cold and aloof as before, wearing a white dress made of glazed glass and emitting a sharp sword aura. At this moment, her cool and beautiful face seemed a little hesitant. Wang Yuxuan also noticed it, glanced at her, and said softly, "What do you want to say?" Zhou Wana also looked over. You know, the one who had changed the most was Lu Ruyan. After returning to the sword sect, she just quietly became her true disciple and was no longer as arrogant as before. Lu Ruyan was a little nervous. Under the gaze of the two, she finally spoke. "I thought you left with him." "Well, we were originally leaving, but he sent us back, saying it was for our safety." There was a spark of intelligence in Wang Yuxuan's beautiful eyes as she spoke softly. "Is that so?" After hearing this, Lu Ruyan suddenly understood. She thought these two had fallen out of favor, and this turned out to be the reason. Thinking of this, she felt a little disappointed. Chapter 170. The nymphomaniac attribute breaks out, and all the families in Chu City gather together. What else? Wang Yuxuan rolled her eyes at her, as if she could guess what she was thinking. It's okay, it's okay." Lu Ruyan quickly shook her head. "I haven't seen the young master for a long time. I'm going crazy woo." Suddenly, Wang Yuxuan took out a white dress from somewhere and buried her head in it like a nymphomaniac, with a look of enjoyment on her face. Fortunately, the three people's location was very secret. If someone saw this scene, they would probably be extremely shocked. The eldest daughter of the Wang family is actually like this in private. After seeing this, Zhou Wana was also used to it. She said with some regret, "I really envy you. You also have the robes that the young master has worn." On the other hand, Lu Ruyan was somewhat surprised. She did not expect that although Zhou Wana had special feelings for Nangong Chen, who would have thought that they had such a relationship. However, after hearing Zhou Wana's words, Lu Ruyan's eyelids trembled. She pointed at them and said in shock, Does Nangong Chen know that his maids are all like this?" Sorry, I couldn't help myself." Wang Yuxuan chuckled, put the white clothes back, and glanced around. Seeing that no one was observing him, he felt relieved. Lu Ruyan's eyelids twitched. After a long moment, she seemed to calm down and said, "I won't tell anyone." She felt that Wang Yuxuan dared to act like this in front of her, because she must trust her. As the eldest sister of the sword sect, she was a very principled person. "Oh, thank you so much," Wang Yuxuan said somewhat indifferently. For her, it doesn't matter if it is known, because her love for the young master is sincere, and heaven and earth can bear witness to it. Zhou Wana didn't say anything, but just looked at Lu Ruyan thoughtfully. At the same time, the projection in the void suddenly burst into light, and then a picture of a starry sky appeared in front of everyone. And there was Du Hai. Many geniuses appeared while crossing the sea, including Nangong Chen and others. After feeling this fluctuation, everyone looked over quickly, and after seeing clearly, their pupils shrank slightly. Are they the immortal treasure? Yes, I saw our genius. That's the crown prince and crown princess. At this moment, everyone had no time to think about where they were. The moment they saw Nangong Chen and Su Li, the entire divine dynasty was in an uproar. In the palace, all the civil and military officials were very excited when they saw this scene. "Prince, you are still as handsome and cool as ever." Yes, the crown princess is also absolutely beautiful. The two of them standing there looked like a couple from heaven. It would be hard not to notice. Nangong Zhan was also laughing. "Ha ha, my son has the qualities of a saint." In the void, Nangong Yu was also looking at the projection with a smile on his face. Nangong Wentian, who was far away in the northern territory, also raised his head at this moment. Seeing the man in white, he secretly gave a thumbs up and patted the soldier who was still sleeping beside him. "Why are you sleeping? Go and see my nephew." Nangong Wentian laughed. The soldier standing by was a little confused, but he still looked into the void, gazing carefully, his shock growing more intense. At the same time, China. The moment the projection appeared, exclamations were heard from all the major forces. There was a middle-aged man with a big belly, covered with top-level magical instruments. After seeing the familiar figure, he said proudly, "My son, Lu Dezhu, is in the immortal treasury." As soon as these words were spoken, the wealthy people around them also looked at them with admiration. To reach this level by giving money is a science. This is a realm that they have never had before. The Li family, the entire clan was looking up at the sky. That's right. Now that we can project the images of the immortal treasure, it can be regarded as spreading the reputation of our Li family. Let the world witness how this evildoer of the Li family shoulders the heavy responsibility of the Xiantian territory. In the void, a middle-aged man spoke loudly. His aura was as deep as the ocean, and cold lightning flashed in his eyes. He was the current head of the Li family. Spread the reputation of our Li family. Spread the reputation of our Li family. The Li family members said excitedly, with blood boiling in their hearts. Soon, several terrifying auras rushed towards Chu City. These are all big figures from several aristocratic families. Now, they come here naturally to find the best position to watch. This projection method was the work of the Chu family, so naturally the Chu family is in the best position. Compared with other states, the Chu family's spiritual stone is located right at their feet, and everyone can clearly see the scene in the fairy treasure. In an instant, Chu City became the most popular place in Xintian domain. Who's coming? Chu Shanha looked at the figures appearing one after another in the void and asked. The Jiang family, the Li family, the astronomical Holy Land, Howran Pavilion, Qilin Gate, Sun Palace, Tianji Pavilion, and so on, all have important figures arriving. Their specific identities are not yet known. An elder of the clan responded respectfully, then paused as if thinking of something. However, only the one family of Tianji City did not come. The one family of Tianji City? By the way, have you found Wen Xiaoxing's whereabouts? Chu Shanha asked. No, after it appeared that day. It has disappeared ever since. No matter how many people were dispatched, they couldn't find it. The Chu family elder shook his head and responded. Chu Shanha nodded, then waved him away. He took out a crumpled piece of paper, glanced at it, and muttered with a gloomy expression. Could it be true, as that person said, that there's something wrong with those two people from the Wen family? Chu family mountain gate. Oh my God, is this still a human? His body is so huge. At this moment, someone was shocked after seeing the monster from the giant tribe. The reactions of the others were not much better, with expressions of surprise on their faces. They had not expected that the geniuses from other domains would all react like this. Oh, I see. Those are the proud ones of the wild territory. Legend has it that they keep humans captive as food, and they enjoy eating their flesh and blood. A powerful person present seemed to have thought of something and spoke. When these words were spoken, it was like thunderclap out of the blue, shocking countless people. Keeping humans in captivity and eating their flesh and blood. Everyone looked stunned. They had not expected that humans were such weak beings in other domains. After they realized what was happening, they were also furious and started cursing. What beasts? These people from the wild territory. Our compatriots have become their bloody prey. We, the proud heroes of the Xintian realm, must crush them to ashes. Chapter 171, it turns out that the geniuses from other domains are all monsters. At this moment, those angry voices surged like waves. They are all human beings, so naturally, they don't have any good feelings toward the race that feeds on them. The next moment, in the picture, those huge people from Anyu actually looked at Tianyu and others with greed in their eyes. Among them, there was a dark-skinned female giant who was several meters tall. She looked extremely burly and as strong as a small mountain. The female giant licked her lips, looked at Tianyu and others with fiery eyes, and said, Hey, you weak humans, you look so delicious. As soon as these words were spoken, the giants looked at them even more nakedly, as if they were selecting food. When everyone present saw this scene, they broke out in cold sweat, as if they were being stared at by a ferocious beast. Even the projection of the Tao has such a strong sense of oppression. It can be imagined how powerful these geniuses in the wild realm are. But soon, after everyone reacted, they secretly swallowed their saliva and gritted their teeth. These monsters, what do they think of themselves? They actually want to eat the geniuses of our Xintian realm. I'm afraid they will starve to death. Who can tolerate them? I believe that Ba Wang and his men will not allow these wild territories' geniuses to be so arrogant. Yes, we in Xintian territory are not pushovers. We are not that easy to bully. These people spoke indignantly, their tone very excited. Just when everyone thought that Ba Wang and others would be as furious as they imagined after hearing this, and would want to cut the other party into pieces, they did not expect that Xian Tianyu and others just looked calm. In the picture, Li Qixin, who was in the lead, was also slowly explaining to the others. Ignore them. We are now in the sea crossing and are protected by the world's will. As long as we don't go out, they can't attack us. Although the sound was small, it was amplified many times after the special processing of the spiritual realm. After Li Qixin finished speaking, the whole place fell silent. The overlord actually told the others to ignore these people from Mongyu, and didn't even talk back. Is this still the invincible overlord? How could he be so heartless? Before long, some bad voices began to be heard from the crowd, including some that slandered the Li family. After hearing this, the elder of the Li family couldn't help but frown. But soon, some members of the Li family also spoke up to explain. Didn't you hear what Overlord said? The man leading the Mang domain was ranked 8th among the last immortal treasures. You have to know that this is the 8th among the 10 immortal domains. His strength should not be underestimated. If he is provoked, who among the geniuses of our Xiantian domain can stand up to him? Yes, apart from Overlord, who was there last time, all the other geniuses entered this time. Of course, Overlord has to consider the overall situation. If he were alone, he would definitely not be afraid of these wild territory geniuses. Those who say such sarcastic things are truly treacherous. Go up there and see if you dare to speak to those people in the wild territory. I'm afraid a single glance from them would scare the shit out of you. If we had just said it and gone back, we would have provoked a powerful enemy for nothing. This would have been very disadvantageous for our geniuses on the expedition. As more and more reasonable people spoke up to help, the expressions of those who were angry before calmed down a lot. Yes, if you ruin those geniuses just for the sake of a momentary verbal pleasure, you will regret it later. That's right, we are too narrow-minded. Before long, some people gradually calmed down and apologized. But it wasn't long before some noise started again. Even though that's what I said, I still feel that our Xiantian territory is too aggrieved. We can't even resist what these people say. Wasn't that person with double pupils quite arrogant before? After entering, he didn't dare to say a word. Could it be that he is afraid of the evildoers in this wild domain? Yeah, even if the Overlord doesn't say anything, someone with double pupils would at least stand up and say a few words for us. Some people with ill intentions are now directing their attention towards Nangong Chen. When the supporters of those with double pupils heard this, they immediately refuted it. You're calling me stupid. I'm a madman, not a brainless person like you who gets so angry when someone says something to you. Yeah, you guys are drooling even if your brains are cured. Don't you dare say that about our brother. He's definitely not that kind of person. Because Nangong Chen had too many supporters, the rhythmic sounds disappeared after a while. In the void, the projected image was still changing, and creatures from other realms gradually appeared before their eyes. After seeing this, everyone couldn't help but talk about it, their eyes full of curiosity. For them, this was the first time they had seen these creatures from other realms. Of course, it's not just here. At this moment, this scene is almost everywhere in Xiantian domain. Are those people gods? Why do they possess such divine auras and even have a glimmer of light around them? What? After listening to Overlord's explanation, those people turned out to be the gods from the burial heaven realm. No wonder they were so terrifying. Oh my god, that handsome man from the god clan turned out to be the champion of the previous Xinzang competition. We're doomed. I hope we don't run into them too soon. Bless. After everyone saw the faces of those gods' creatures clearly, they hurriedly spoke. Now, they know that Xiantian domain can only be ranked in an upper middle position among these 10 domains. It is not so powerful that it has no rivals. There are still many rivals ahead of it. After knowing this, everyone's attitude changed accordingly. Oh my god, what race are those people with devil wings behind them from? I have to say, they have such great figures and looks, and they wear such revealing clothes. They seem a bit like the demon cultivators from our Xiantian realm. Don't look at them for now. Look at those people behind them. That's terrifying. That woman has 9 tails behind her. Looking at her from afar, I actually feel a little bit of fear in my heart. The only normal ones seem to be those bald monks. I've heard that there's a region that believes in Buddhism and is called the Buddha realm. Could that be them? But it is undeniable that these geniuses are more powerful than each other. Even the geniuses of our Xiantian realm are so weak in comparison. If I were them, I'd probably be feeling a bit hopeless. But we may not be too desperate. After all, Overlord just said that Xiantian domain can be ranked 4th or 5th among the 10 domains. Everyone present murmured as they watched the projected images flash by. The more they watched, the more frightened they became, and a feeling of powerlessness surged in their hearts. Strong, so strong indeed. Even a random genius from other domains would have the illusion that they could beat the Xiantian domain. For this, everyone was somewhat relieved that Overlord hadn't spoken, otherwise it would have been difficult. Chapter 172, The Burning Tao appears. In the Tianyuan Divine Dynasty. When all the civil and military officials in the court saw this scene, they couldn't help but fall silent. After a long while, someone finally sighed, in this immortal treasure, there are really many monsters. They could even feel that some of the geniuses among them had already stepped into the realm of God King for a long time, and the condensed shadows of the Dharma images were shining brightly. This immortal treasure house is restricted by rules. Those who enter are all under 100 years old. To achieve the position of God King in just a few dozen years is extremely rare in the Xiantian realm. If 1 or 2 of them appear, they will be famous all over the world. As for this group of geniuses in Xiantian realm, as far as they knew, only 2 of them had entered the realm of God King, namely Moon Goddess and Overlord. Among these 2, Overlord was in the middle stage of God King, while Moon Goddess had just reached the realm of God King. It seems that this immortal hiding is really dangerous for other people. Nangong Chen, who was sitting on the dragon throne, also had a worried look on his face as he looked at the two people in the projection. It's not that he doesn't believe in his son, but although Nangong Chen has terrifying talent, he is too young. If he has a few more years, he may be able to suppress the geniuses from other domains. But at this point, it's still in its infancy. If anything happens to it, it will be a huge loss. He hoped that Nangong Chen could take his daughter-in-law with him, and after the two of them went in, they could run as far away as possible. What the hell was the glory and dignity of Xintian realm with him? He only had one son, and he didn't want anything to happen to him. This is probably the true thought of fathers all over the world. It's a pity that he didn't tell Nangong Chen in advance. There are too many monsters. Is a master in danger? Wang Yuxuan said in a low voice, her beautiful eyes filled with worry, her gaze fixed on the projection in the void. Although those people look powerful, we still have to trust the young master. Zhou Waner, who was standing aside, spoke softly with a firm gaze. After going through so much together, she had a blind trust in Nangong Chen. She firmly believed that Nangong Chen was the so-called miracle. That's right, Nangong Chen will be fine. Lu Rian also spoke, her beautiful eyes flashing and revealing a hint of trust. Wang Yuxuan was also infected by the two people's behavior. She nodded heavily, her eyes bright. That's right, I believe in the master. He will be safe and sound during this immortal hiding. After that, the three women were speechless, their beautiful eyes staring quietly into the void with complicated expressions. Behind them, a graceful figure poked her head out and sat quietly beside them. After Wang Yuxuan sensed this familiar aura, she said softly, Su Yao, didn't you come out on a mission today? How did you get to the palace? Su Yao was stunned. She didn't expect that the other party could find her without turning around. Then, she smiled sweetly and responded, Sister Yuxuan, my mission today is to come and see the immortal treasures my brother-in-law and my sister. This is what my father told me. Is that so? I thought you didn't complete the mission. Wang Yuxuan seemed to be a little dazed and touched her head lovingly. How is it possible? I, Su Yao, want to be a woman who can rival my elder sister. I can accomplish this task with my own hands. Su Yao said with pride and made a grasping gesture with her little hand. After hearing this, Zhou Waner smiled brightly on her delicate and beautiful face. This kind of arrogance is exactly the same as Su Li. After the two of them exchanged greetings, Su Yao also set her eyes on Lu Ruyan, her beautiful eyes showing some curiosity. She had never seen this sister before. Could she be her brother-in-law? She is Su Li's sister? On the side, Lu Ruyan turned around and asked softly, blinking her beautiful eyes. What a beautiful sister! When Su Yao saw it, she was a little stunned. After hearing this, Lu Ruyan paused, smiled, and patted her head. Little sister, thank you for the compliment. You are very beautiful too. Oh, you must be Sister Ruyan. At this moment, in Chu City, all the major immortal families and top Taoist sects were staring at the projection. Soon, everyone discovered that the man with double pupils seemed to be looking at something and the geniuses from other domains. His double pupils were dim and looked a little intimidating. Look, what is that person with double pupils looking at? His gaze is so focused. He seems to be observing the geniuses from other domains, without upset other people. Everyone spoke cautiously. However, no one expected that the next moment, the geniuses from several regions in the picture looked at them with somewhat unfriendly expressions. Human, just look at it. Any more would be offensive. A man's voice was heard from the God clan. Interesting. It seems to me that this boy is getting tired of living. The leading man on the Manyu side sneered. When everyone present saw this scene, their hearts pounded and they secretly thought it was over. Because at this moment, they were looking at none other than the person with double pupils. Oh no, the one with double pupils has been observing the evildoers from several regions. Now it seems that they may have been displeased. Yet what should we do? The one with double pupils has extraordinary combat power, and is the key to this situation. And now, that eighth immortal treasure in the wild realm has set his sights on him. If this matter is not resolved, I'm afraid there will be a bloody battle after we enter. Look, even the geniuses from other domains have come see us. Their expressions are very unfriendly. Even Overlord and the others have changed their expressions. Everyone said anxiously, this person with double pupils is really a troublemaker. If he hadn't insisted on looking at others, how could he have implicated other geniuses? I want to see how this person with double pupils can resolve this situation. At this moment, in the void, an old man in a yellow robe spoke with a cold look on his face. After hearing this, someone looked at the shadow. His pupils shrank, as if he had seen something horrible. This person is none other than the Palace Master of the Sun God Palace, Fundao. Chapter 173, This is just a warning. After hearing this, An elder of the Jiang family also appeared in the void, his eyes icy as he echoed, "I've said it long ago. Although this boy has strength, he's too arrogant and has no rules in his eyes. After entering the immortal treasure, he will definitely cause trouble. Look, isn't this happening now? If I had known earlier, I shouldn't have let him into the immortal vault. If he implicates the evildoers of my clan, I will make sure he suffer a fate worse than death once the one with double pupils comes out." After seeing this, some other bigwigs also showed a look of realization. These two families already had a grudge against those with double pupils, and now that they had such an opportunity to take advantage of the situation, they naturally would not miss it. After hearing this, everyone didn't dare to say anything, because these two people were truly big shots in the Xintian realm and were not people they could afford to offend. Even some supporters of those with double pupils did not dare to be too presumptuous at this moment. From the Chu family, an old woman flew out. She had an aged face and deep eyes. It was Chu Ruchuan. "Don't be angry, both of you. This time, the immortal treasure is all our Chu family's fault for not handling it properly. The quota for the double-pupiled person was given by Saint Chu. Alas, we didn't know she would befriend such a corrupt person. When the Saint Chu comes out, we will definitely punish her severely." Chu Ruchuan pretended to be sincere and put all the blame on Chu Yin, while he himself had nothing to do with it. "Oh, so that's how it is. Then you, the Chu family, must keep an eye on the Saint from now on and avoid making friends with those who are not good." After hearing this, Fen Dao shook his head and said with a look of persuasion on his face. As soon as these words were spoken, the expressions of many forces changed. They did not expect that Fen Dao would dare to say this in front of everyone. Below, in the crowd, Qing Yu and Qing Fan were both very angry and excited after hearing this. "Sister, this old Biden actually dared to insult the young master like this. I'm so angry." Qing Fan clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. If the young master were here, do they dare to say a word? Qing Yu also had a bad look on his face, with frost in his beautiful eyes. It was the first time he was so angry in a while. "Call out." The next moment, a terrifying golden light streaked across the sky and cut through the void. It was extremely fast, like an afterimage, emitting a terrifying aura. Suddenly, Fen Dao seemed to sense a sense of crisis. He looked up and saw a cold light shining on his face. His face changed, and his saintly cultivation burst out. He stretched out his hands, and in an instant, terrifying divine power covered the sky and turned into a dark yellow shield, standing in front of him. At this moment, Fen Dao saw clearly that the golden light was actually a divine arrow. His pupils shrank slightly, as if he had seen something incredible. Boom! The power of the divine arrow actually directly blew up the Xianhuang shield, but at the same time it also lost speed and was caught by Fen Dao. His face was icy as he looked towards the figure holding the bow in the void and gritted his teeth. "It's you." If he hadn't reacted quickly, this divine arrow would have penetrated his body long ago, and the consequences would have been unimaginable. Seeing this scene, everyone present was confused and didn't know what was going on. In the void, some powerful people saw the arrow in Fen Dao's hand, and their expressions changed slightly, as if they thought of something and were a little stunned. "This is just a warning. If anyone insults the young master, be careful. My arrows will be blind." In the air, there was a figure holding a huge bow, with a twitching mouth, speaking in a cold voice. Then, it disappeared into the clouds, as if it had never appeared. After hearing this, everyone realized that it was the protector of the person with double pupils who took action. All right, a person with double pupils. What a person with double pupils. You are so brave." After a while, Fen Dao forced himself to suppress the sweet blood flowing out of his throat, gritted his teeth, and spoke word by word, his eyes extremely cold as he looked into the void. "Do you really think that I can't catch you with your magical skills? When the time comes, it will be your death." Fen Dao revealed a strange sneer, and his figure instantly disappeared between heaven and earth, and no one knew where he went. Soon, the only one left in the void was the Jiang family elder who had just spoken. Seeing such a terrifying arrow, he felt a chill on his neck and disappeared in front of everyone, as if escaping. Chu Ruchuan also looked up at the sky, felt a chill in his heart for some unknown reason, and quickly rushed into the Chu family. The entire Chu city was silent, as if nothing had happened. Below, everyone finally reacted and looked surprised. They had not expected everything to happen so suddenly. It seems that those who talk about people with double pupils in the future should consider whether their lives are strong enough. Thinking of this, they looked towards the void with some fear, their expressions complicated, as if there was a sword hanging high above their heads, staring at them all the time. In the crowd, Qing Fan and Qing Yin saw this scene and looked at each other, seeing the joy in each other's eyes. Well done, well done. On the other side, Imo Han was also watching the sky, with a look of shock in his eyes. He then regained his composure and muttered to himself. As expected of a dandy disciple, he actually has such a powerful protector. Everyone turned their attention back to the projection, still watching with great interest, as if what just happened was just a small episode. In the picture, countless monsters from other domains looked at Nangong Chen coldly, as if they were going to force him to abdicate. Even the geniuses of Xiantian domain looked at Nangong Chen with confusion. Seeing this scene, someone sighed, as if they saw the person with double pupils bowing his head and apologizing. Everyone had different expressions. Some had complicated faces, some sneered secretly, and some looked reluctant. There's no other way. In this situation, we can only apologize and admit our mistakes. Otherwise, we'll be attacked by everyone and won't be able to move an inch within the immortal treasure. Yes, but honestly, with the temperament of a person with double pupils, would he really bow his head? It's hard to say. This is a serious matter, not to be taken lightly. Imohan also saw this scene, sneered, and thought to himself, let you go crazy. Although I can't cure you, others can. Far away in the Tianyuan Divine Dynasty, inside the palace, Nangong Zhan's expression was extremely ugly, and the terrifying pressure could not be stopped from erupting. If my son had practiced for a few years, why would he have to care about their faces? All the civil and military officials, feeling the imperial power, did not dare to speak, and their bodies trembled slightly. They knew that Nangong Zhan was really angry. Su Ming's expression was complicated, and a surge of anger rose in his heart. After all, Nangong Chen was his son-in-law. In the corner, Su Yao tilted her head and saw this scene, and asked in confusion, why are they all angry? My brother-in-law looks so calm. He must have a reason. After hearing this, the three girls were stunned. The next moment, a cold and indifferent voice sounded from the projection. Rubbish. When these words were spoken, not only the entire palace was stunned, but the entire Divine Dynasty and the entire Xiantian realm were also stunned. The next moment, the giant man in the picture was also stunned and asked, what did you say? Then, a demon clan's genius said jokingly, he called you trash. Human boy, after entering the immortal treasure, you'd better not show up. The person who was scolded by the man with double pupils became furious, with murderous intent in his eyes. However, just when everyone thought that the matter was over, that cold voice sounded again, carrying with it an invincible force. I'm not just talking about him. I'm talking about everyone here. They're all garbage. In the picture, Nangong Chen is dressed in white, standing with his hands behind his back, his double pupils looking around with disdain, like a supreme young man in the world. The voice was faint, but it resounded throughout the Xiantian realm and reached the ears of countless people. After these words were spoken, China fell silent, and all sounds of nature were silent. Chapter 174. The double pupil person is awesome. Cheers from everyone. Did I hear correctly? The one with double pupils said that the geniuses from the other 9 realms seem to be garbage. That's right, but this seems to be in line with the temperament of a person with double pupils. But won't this provoke a group attack from the other 9 realms? In the crowd, some geniuses had complicated expressions, and it took them a long time to react. Among them, there are many monsters on the heavenly ranking, and now they have all come here to watch the immortal treasure. It is conceivable that the popularity of the immortal treasure this time has reached an unprecedented level in the Xiantian domain. Even the popularity of the previous immortal treasures was not this high. Soon, an excited voice was heard in Chu City. Awesome. So awesome. People with double pupils are awesome. People with double pupils are awesome. Fuck. I've never felt so good in my entire life. Aren't the other 9 realms geniuses arrogant? In front of our Xiantian realm monsters, they're nothing but trash. No words are spoken. All I can say is, this is definitely the best sentence of the century. The one with double pupils is so crazy. I love it so fucking much. I love it so fucking much. From now on, the man with double pupils is my father. Anyone who dares to say a word to him will lose his head. Everyone present at this moment felt the frustration in their hearts. But with the words of the man with double pupils, all the frustration was swept away and they felt very refreshed. They all shouted excitedly. And even the monsters on the heavenly ranking were infected by this emotion and joined the crowd. Those with double pupils are awesome. Those with double pupils are awesome. On the other side, in the crowd, Qingyu was also shouting, her face flushed and her beautiful eyes sparkling. It was hard to imagine that a lady from a noble family could be so excited. Fellow Taoist, my throat is tired from shouting. How come you still have the energy to shout? Qing Fan felt a little weak. He turned to look at a man wearing a pig head mask and spoke. Haha. I may not be good at anything else, but I have a great voice, which I've trained since I was a child. Under the pig head mask, Chu Xing said with some pride. This can actually be practiced? Qing Fan was a little surprised. TSK, but he just said one sentence. I can do it too. This person with double pupils has so many brainless supporters. In the sea of people, there was a handsome young man who was out of tune with the others. He said with a sad expression. At the same time, he was also fantasizing that if he could enter the immortal treasure and perform such a move, the entire Xiantian realm would surely cheer for him. Thinking of this, Imohan showed a lewd smile and laughed. Hey, who is this? He's so disgusting, and his smile is so obscene. Stay away from him. Oh, it would be great if I could see someone with double pupils in person. This loser is nothing compared to my idol. Let's go somewhere else to support someone with double pupils. There was a beautiful woman nearby. When she saw him, she showed disgust and walked away with her best friend. After hearing this, Imohan's face was a little stunned. After he reacted, he clenched his fists and looked at the white-clothed figure in the projection in the void with a hint of resentment. It's all because of you. If it weren't for you, these girls would have thrown themselves into my arms long ago. Okay, you who has double pupils, just wait for me. In the future, I will definitely step on your head and use you as a stepping stone to make my name known throughout the world. In his mind, a pink-haired girl saw this scene and fell into deep silence. In the void, those powerful beings hidden there were silent when they saw this projected scene, not knowing what to say. They really didn't expect that people with double pupils are just as the rumors say, extremely arrogant and never yield to anyone in the world. Such arrogance and character are rare even among the monsters in Xiantian domain. It can be said that he is the only one. At this moment, that scene has been deeply engraved in their minds and is hard to forget. Well, what a person with double pupils. He is indeed as imposing as a dragon. The pride of my generation in the Xiantian realm should have such courage. A voice came from the sky above. The person who came was dressed in a gray robe, with a sword hanging from his waist, and a sword-like intent flashed in his eyes. After seeing this, everyone in the Li family hurriedly said respectfully, "Ancestor." Li Songhai waved his hand and stood there with Bai Wu Dao, looking at the void, his face full of admiration. The two men's aura was as deep as the abyss. As soon as they appeared, a terrifying pressure rising from between heaven and earth burst out. When the people below saw the two old men, their pupils shrank slightly, and they could hardly believe what they saw. That's Li Songhai, the ancestor of the Li family. It said that he has been on the path to becoming a saint for a long time and has reached a very terrifying realm. He actually showed up today. That guy next to him, hiss. I seem to have some impression of him. Isn't this the old man in the scroll outside the Tianji Pavilion? Could it be the pavilion master by Wu Dao? These two are the most ancient beings in the Xiantian realm. I didn't expect them to come to Chu City together today and watch the battle of the immortal treasure with us. Did I hear correctly? What the Li family ancestor said just now seemed to be praising those with double pupils. Looking at the expressions of those two, it seems that they are full of admiration for those with double pupils. In the void, everyone in the Li family looked confused, and then they reacted and were shocked. This was the first time I heard the ancestors speak so highly of a younger generation. Even the overlord Li Qixin only evaluated him as a talent with potential for development. It was conceivable how demanding the ancestors' requirements were. Bai Wu Dao stroked his beard, looked at the carnival scene below, and fell into deep silence. The destined one, is he or she? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but focus his gaze on the projections of Nangong Chen and the other person. In the clouds, there was a powerful figure with a sneer on his face. Go ahead. You don't have the strength, yet you dare to act so arrogantly in the immortal treasure. You really think you're still in the Xiantian realm. Once you enter the immortal treasure, I don't think you'll regret it. Fun Dao sneered, then stuffed a bit of royal medicine into his mouth, and his face regained some color. Of course, those people from the Jiang family who shared the same idea as him also had cold looks in their eyes. Tianyuan Dynasty. The prince is incredibly brave, and no one in the world can match him. That's right, this is my Tianyuan man, so brave. As expected of his majesty's son, he truly possesses the same elegance and grace as his majesty did in his youth. The ministers praised him immediately. Upon hearing this, Nangong Chen on the throne couldn't stop laughing wildly. My son truly has the qualities of saint. Ha! When my son returns, I'll definitely hold a feast. Then everyone in Xiantian territory will know that this is my son. When Su Ming saw this scene, although he had a smile on his face, a hint of worry flashed in his eyes. Nangong Chen saw this and looked at him, asking in a low voice, "Prime Minister Su, what are you worried about?" Su Ming is already an outstanding person, and now as the Prime Minister of Tianyuan, he has repeatedly made great achievements. Moreover, they are relatives, so Nangong Chen does not have any heirs towards him. I'm just worried. Will the prince be targeted for saying this? Su Ming hesitated for a moment, but still said it. In the projection, the geniuses from other domains were all looking at Nangong Chen with malicious and angry eyes. Nangong Chen smiled and sighed. You still don't understand your son-in-law. Just read on. His tone was slow and meaningful. Su Ming was a little confused, but he still responded and continued to look at the screen. Chapter 175, Too Conservative. That's amazing, Xiaoyao. You really got it right. Wang Yuxuan looked at Su Yao and said with some surprise. Su Yao smiled shyly. I can sense that my brother-in-law is very stable. After hearing this, the three girls also thought of Su Yao's physique and couldn't help but look at her deeply. Then he continued to look at the projection in the void. Back to the screen. After hearing what was said, the geniuses were all filled with anger and stared at Nangong Chen intently. What did you say? You said we're all trash. How dare a human boy be so arrogant? Are you really not going to die here? Everyone, we in the wild territory have already reserved this man's head. Even a saint can't stop me. They felt severely humiliated and were very angry. On the side of the gods, some evildoers even said that they wanted to take the head of the one with double pupils. Obviously, Nangong Chen had become the focus of everyone's attention at this moment. Once you enter the immortal treasure, you will definitely become the target of everyone. When everyone saw this, they also showed a hint of worry. Cross the sea. Nangong Chen is this too? Su Li, who was standing aside, seemed to have thought of something. A look of hesitation appeared on her pretty face as she spoke awkwardly. Too crazy. Nangong Chen raised his eyebrows and continued as she said. He paused. That's okay. The strong are bound to humiliate the weak. Besides, the creatures in other realms don't take us seriously, so why should we give them face? Su Li shook her head, her ice blue eyes serious, and she gritted her teeth as she spoke. I mean, it's too conservative. Think about it. These people eat us humans, so they're no longer human. Moreover, they're useless. How can garbage be useful? I think they are worse than garbage. They should be called beasts. After saying that, Su Li lowered her head shyly, her beautiful eyes filled with thoughts. Is it because I talk too much he shouldn't hate me? Nangong Chen was stunned for a moment. It was the first time he heard Su Li say so many words, and they were even cursing. Thinking of this, the corners of his mouth twitched and some black lines appeared on his forehead. Who on earth secretly led his little Su Li astray? If he finds out, he will never let that person off. It's hard to imagine that one day the pretty girl you know will actually come to you with a serious look on her face and teach you how to curse. You're right, I was too conservative. Next time, call them beasts, okay? Suppressing the shock in his heart, Nangong Chen spoke softly, a hint of doting in his eyes. Good. Su Li raised her head. Her beautiful eyes suddenly lit up, and she nodded heavily. On the other side, everyone in Xiantian domain looked worried and felt very uncomfortable being stared at by these eyes. Dezhu, look at the look in those people's eyes. They look like they want to eat us. It's so scary. Xiongda glanced around and spoke tremblingly, his righteous features filled with fear. After hearing this, Lu Dazhu also looked in the direction of his gaze and saw a half-human, half-bear man in the demon realm, looking at them with red eyes. When he saw them looking at him, he also made a gesture of wiping his neck. When Lu Dazhu saw this, he trembled all over, and the next moment he slipped into Xiongda's arms, saying in a trembling voice, Xiongda, if you are afraid, I am afraid too. Xiongda was stunned, and the fear on his face became even more intense. The two hugged each other. On the other side, the half-human, half-bear man from the demon realm saw this, and a look of disgust appeared in his eyes. He then dry-heaved and began to vomit. When the other demons around him saw this, they followed his gaze and felt a little nauseous after seeing the scene. Nangong Chen also noticed it, took a look, and the corners of his mouth twitched, and he felt an inexplicable chill in his heart. Can you imagine a man with a bulging belly hugging another muscular young man? It would be horrible to watch. Su Li, who was standing by, saw so many people vomiting and wanted to look over, but Nangong Chen covered her eyes with his hands. Don't look, it will dirty your eyes, Nangong Chen said lightly, holding her in his arms. Su Li felt a familiar masculine scent entering her nostrils and subconsciously struggled for a while. After hearing Nangong Chen's explanation, she stopped resisting and said him softly. No one noticed that a faint blush had appeared on the girl's ears. Brother Nangong, aren't you a little too impulsive? I feel like there's something wrong with the way other people are looking at us. Li Qixin glanced around and said belatedly, You just realized it? Li Muxiu replied angrily. He had never thought that his own brother could be so slow-witted. What should we do then? If we go into the immortal treasures, what if they all come and beat us up? No, what if they all come and beat up Brother Nangong? He's my good friend, Li Qixin said in a panic, and then paused, as if he had thought of something. Hey, then why don't I just kill them in secret? When he said this, his eyes sparkled, and he was somewhat amazed at his own wisdom. Li Muxiu was so upset that he said, "Why not just forget it? You can't beat so many people. So, should we just leave Brother Nangong alone? He's my friend." After hearing this, Li Qixin became anxious. Li Muxiu glanced at Nangong Chen calmly, a brilliant light flashing across the vertical lines between his eyebrows, and he said, "He is much more confident than you." After hearing this, Li Qixin was stunned for a moment, and then as if he had thought of something, he said, "Oh right, you also have a 9th grade divine body. With your heavenly eye, did you see anything about Brother Nangong? Is what the Tianji Pavilion said about his super 9th grade aptitude and double pupils true or false?" Chapter 176. The King of Pupils, Chao Li's Sudden Enlightenment. Li Muxiu glanced at him with a complicated expression, as if he was thinking about something. At that time, the Chu family, he opened his 3rd eye and looked into the legendary double pupils. He thought that everything would be fine, but he didn't expect that his consciousness was shocked, and he felt that his soul would be swallowed by those eyes. Even his eyes in heaven shed tears of blood, but he covered it up at the time. After that, his heavenly, I didn't dare to look at Nangong Chen anymore. Every time he saw Nangong Chen, his body trembled uncontrollably, and even his heavenly, I wanted to escape from here. He knew that this was the absolute suppression from the King of Pupils. No matter which pupil body it was, upon seeing these double pupils, they would end up like this. Even when he first encountered a pupil of the same 9th rank, he didn't feel such a strong sense of oppression. It is conceivable that the fact that this double pupil was ranked as a super 9th grade by the Tianji Pavilion was definitely not an empty statement. "Hey, tell me what you're thinking about." Li Qixin looked at the stunned young man in brocade clothes and said anxiously, "Guess." Li Muxiu ignored him, said something casually, and closed his eyes to rest. Seeing this, Li Qixin felt itchy in his heart and wished he could go back to his childhood and beat him up. He has a 3rd eye. He must have seen something. That's why he had that reaction just now. But I just won't tell him. It really makes me angry. Seeing this, the others also closed their eyes and ignored those gazes. As for why no one dared to come out and accuse the person with double pupils, it was due to the person's strength. They really couldn't afford to provoke him. The impression of beating Prince Ao Long that day has been deeply engraved in their minds. Moreover, he was Prince Ao Long, who had entered the holy body. Ao Long, who had entered the holy body, was indeed so powerful that among all those present, perhaps only the top 3 on the heavenly ranking and the Ice Phoenix Goddess could be said to be able to defeat him. Even the offerings of others would not be enough. Those people were silent. What else could they say? The other geniuses all closed their eyes with these thoughts in mind. Some of them had never seen someone with double pupils before, and they all looked at him with fiery eyes. "Hey, are you the one with double pupils?" Chao Li couldn't help but step forward and said, looking around curiously with a pair of clear eyes. Nangong Chen glanced at him and said calmly, "What's the matter?" The young man in front of him had dark skin, was wearing a black and white suit, and had a crew cut. This image was a bit incongruous and reminded him of the spirited young man in Taoist robes in his previous life. "My name is Chao Li, and I want to get to know you." Being looked at by Nangong Chen, Chao Li felt a little embarrassed and scratched his head and said. After hearing this, Nangong Chen's eyes flashed. "Chao Li? I seem to have seen this name at the top of the heavenly ranking before, probably number 5. He was from the Qilin sect and was a genius the Qilin sect hadn't seen in 10,000 years. The Qilin sect's training method is quite interesting. It involves carving runes on the body to gain powerful strength. Of course, you can't carve them whenever you want. Only those with special physiques can do this. Qilin sect, not only him, but also 4 other sects named after mythical beasts, also practice this way. Chao Li is the most gifted and terrifying monster among all the practitioners in this lineage." Recalling this, Nangong Chen couldn't help but take another look at the dark-skinned boy in front of him. On the other side, Chao Li saw that Nangong Chen didn't say anything and thought that the other party looked down on him, so he planned to retreat. At this moment, the eyes of other people in Xintian domain were also very shocked. They did not expect that the arrogant and domineering Chao Li would be as obedient as a grandson in front of Nangong Chen. Nangong Chen said calmly. "This guy doesn't seem to have any other malicious intentions and is quite interesting, so it's better to give him some face." After hearing this, Chao Li was very happy and smiled brightly. "Thank you very much. Thank you very much." After everyone saw this, they were also stunned for a moment. How could this be possible? What others don't know is that the reason Chao Li has this attitude is actually because of the wave of ridicule from Nangong Chen just now. He was deeply shocked that there are actually people who can pretend to be so cool. You know, as a tall and arrogant genius, he has been deeply influenced by novels and stories since he was a child, but he has always been pursuing how to show off in front of others and how to pretend to be perfect. After so many years of hard pursuit, he not only did not learn anything, but he often pretended to be cool and made others laugh, which was very awkward. For example, when he was out on a mission and encountered danger, he would walk in front of everyone and shout, "Look, this Qilin pattern is going to be very handsome." Then, he was knocked away by a demon beast of a higher level that suddenly appeared and was laughed at by everyone. Today, he actually witnessed such smooth and advanced pretending skills, which not only shocked him greatly, but also made him want to become his disciple. "Can you teach me how to act cool?" Chao Li asked in a low voice, looking at Nangong Chen. After hearing this, Nangong Chen was stunned for a moment. If there was water in his mouth, he would have spit it out long ago. Su Li, who was standing aside, raised the corners of her mouth, and there was a hint of smile in her beautiful eyes. Nangong Chen's mouth twitched as he glanced at him. Somewhat unexpectedly, the other party made friends with him just to learn how to act cool. He didn't say he would pretend. "I won't." Nangong Chen shook his head and said lightly, "All right." Chao Li was a little disappointed. The other party was definitely pretending to be cool and just didn't want to teach him anything. However, he could understand it. After all, this was something that was not to be passed on to outsiders. But when he turned around, he seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes flashed with brilliance. He had read in a book that the highest level of pretense was to act without realizing it, achieving harmony between man and nature. Presumably, Brother Nangong was trying to tell him this. In an instant, he realized a lot of things. Chao Li immediately turned around and bowed to Nangong Chen. "Benefited a lot. Thank you for your teaching." The look in his eyes when he looked at Nangong Chen was as hot as if he had seen a god. When everyone saw this scene, they were all stunned, and then looked at Nangong Chen with some curiosity in their eyes. What on earth did the man with double pupils say that made Chao Li so grateful? It must be something profound and unfathomable. However, a person with double pupils would actually pass on that kind of thing to an outsider. Could it be that this is the true nature of people with double pupils, generous to friends, and with a clear conscience? Thinking of this, they couldn't help but look at Nangong Chen with some respect in their eyes. Nangong Chen was also stunned when he saw this scene. He didn't do anything. Why were they looking at him like this? Of course, he couldn't figure out why no matter how hard he tried. In the outside world, everyone was shocked when they saw this scene. What benefit did Chao Li get that makes him so grateful to the person with double pupils? Yeah, it seems that boy is very lucky. I really envy him. Why don't we have our own kid contact this person with double pupils later? In the void, those powerful people were whispering to each other, looking at one person with some envy. The old man who came from Qilin Gate could hardly suppress the smile on his face. He didn't expect that Chao Li, his disciple, was so powerful and actually got a great opportunity from the person with double pupils. But unfortunately, he didn't see clearly what the opportunity was. Very good, very good. After I come out, I must ask what it is. The old man from Qilin Gate showed admiration on his face and thought to himself,